It has been 4,755 days since the Texas Longhorns and Texas A&M Aggies have last met on a football field. And tonight, for the first time in more than 13 years, the Lone Star Showdown returns in College Station. And oh, by the way, a trip to the SEC championship game is on the line tonight. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame show. Alongside Bucky Godbolt, I am BK Brad Kellner. And we're with you live for the next 2 hours, getting you set for kickoff between the third-ranked Texas Longhorns and the number 20 Texas A&M Aggies. I promise we are not responsible for the power flicker that just happened at Shoal Creek Saloon. People are looking at us like we're the reasons the TVs aren't working right now.
No.
It's not the case. Y'all will get the TVs back on. And, of course, this is the place to watch Texas and Texas A&M tonight, 6:30 kickoff on ABC. Buck, it's been a long time coming. Maybe the worst part of A&M leaving for the SEC after the 2011 season was we lost the Lone Star Showdown. Now, once again, almost 5,000 days later, we get the return of Texas and Texas A&M.
Yeah, the rivalry is back, and it's going to be in full swing tonight, and it means something. It's not just the end of the season. It's not just a football game to end the year or during the Thanksgiving holiday. It means an awful lot to both universities, and to have this rivalry renewed is something that a lot of people wanted. There's a lot of people didn't want this. I personally wanted this to get back as soon as possible, no matter what conferences we were in, to play Texas A&M, for Texas and Texas A&M to renew their rivalry again was very important to the state, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's a joke that these teams didn't play while they were in separate conferences, but the politics of college football got in the way. Of course, the Longhorns in their first year in the SEC, now back as conference rivals with Texas A&M, and the game is back, and hopefully it is here to stay. By the way, for the crowd that is here at Shoal Creek Saloon, we are giving away a free cowboy hat from our friends at Cavender's. If you want to sign up, it's completely free. Come by our table. We've got a couple of koozies to give away as well. So if you are here or if you are on your way to Shoal Creek Saloon, come by and see us and enter for your chance to win a free cowboy hat from our great friends at Cavender's. And, of course, a shout-out to our title sponsors for our TSU pregame show, Covert Bee Cave and 34 Wine and Spirits. So, Buck, not only is it one of the best rivalries in college sports, not only is it the first matchup between the Longhorns and the Aggies in more than 13 years, there's a spot in the SEC championship on the line and a spot in the college football playoff on the line. There have been a lot of big UT A&M games over the 100-plus year history of this rival. I don't know if there's ever been a Lone Star Showdown with as much at stake as there will be tonight.
No, there's tons to be played for tonight, and for both teams. You know, to have that opportunity. The Aggies have been trying to win a championship in something for a long, long time. You know, they have their de facto, you know, we came out to practice trophies. You know, we came out, you know, we played game 1, we played game 6, and they'll take their championships for just showing up. But this one really, really means something, an opportunity to play for an SEC championship to face, that's right, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Who, I wonder if those dudes are still sleeping after last night, because they kept me up late last night.
Is that game still going on?
That game, I think it's over with finally. 8 overtimes last night, but this is a great opportunity for both teams. And for the University of Texas in their first year in the SEC, where so many people thought that, you know, they'll get into the SEC, but what will they be like once they get here? Well, it's already been determined they're pretty damn good in year one.
Yeah, of course you get bragging rights anytime you win a rivalry game.
Oh, sure.
But a spot in the SEC championship is on the line tonight. Texas trying to get there in its first year in the conference. A&M has been in the SEC for 12 years. So for Texas, they've got the chance to make some history in year one and also prevent one of their biggest rivals from getting there and extending their drought to 13 years. And obviously for A&M, if the Aggies are able to win tonight, they finally get over the hump, make it to the conference championship game, and they prevent Texas from getting there. So these two teams could be 0-11 coming into tonight, and it would be a big deal. But, a chance to get a spot in the SEC title game, and once again, the opportunity to get a first-round bye in the college football playoff that starts in a couple of weeks. I mean, it just doesn't get better than this. Of course, College Game Day was in College Station this morning. It's the number one ABC crew on the call tonight. It's by far and away the biggest game of the day today. It's
the most expensive ticket of all time.
And, oh, by the way, it is. That's exactly where I was going, Buck. The average cost of a ticket to the Lone Star Showdown tonight is the most expensive average ticket price on record for a college football game, and more expensive than the average price of any regular season NFL game in history. The average ticket price tonight to get into Kyle Field, $1,079. Wow. I'm perfectly comfortable here at Shoal Creek Saloon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think anybody needs to make – like Austin's a hell of a lot better than College Station anyways.
Yes.
It's the reason why a bunch of Aggie grads come move here because they don't want to deal with BCS after they leave. So I'm perfectly fine staying here at Shoal Creek Saloon for tonight's game and not dealing with that madness.
Oh, no, and it is the atmosphere at College Station tonight will be electric, to say the least. It will be – I think they will probably break their record. I got to believe they're going to go close to 110,000 in that place. And It is loud. And it is proud, and it is crazy.
And it is weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Them and their weird traditions, but boy, is that going to be an awful lot of fun. If you got a ticket there, and if you're an Aggie fan, if you're a Longhorn fan, and you do have the pleasure of being at that stadium tonight, what a show that'll be put on by not only the football team but both bands. The pageantry of college football will be on display tonight in College Station for sure.
Well said. Yep. It's huge for the state of Texas, obviously huge for both programs, but it's huge for college football.
Oh, yeah.
I think the rest of the country is going to realize that not only is this just a big rivalry for folks in the Lone Star State, this is one of the best rivalries in college sports, and we'll see it in every sport over the course of this year, but obviously football comes top of mind, and once again, with everything that's at stake, it just is as good as it gets if you are a college football fan. Buck, obviously a huge storyline, the health of Quinn Ewers, right? We've got some sound from Steve Sarkisian. Now, normally, Sark has 2 media availabilities over the course of the week,
right?
One on Monday, one on Thursday. But because Thanksgiving was a couple of days ago, and a happy belated Thanksgiving to everybody tuned in, we only heard from Steve Sarkisian one time, and he was asked about the health of his quarterback back on Monday. Here's what Sark said 6 days ago.
Our schedule's a little bit different. We're normally a morning practice team, but with this being Thanksgiving week and no school, we're not practicing until this afternoon, so I'll have a little better understanding when I get to see him really on the field, but he's planning on practicing today, so we'll see how that goes.
So not a whole lot there from Steve Sarkisian, and we've seen Quinn Ewers show up on all 3 injury reports this week. He was probable on Wednesday, probable on Thursday, probable again yesterday, but he's dealing with an ankle injury that he suffered early in the game in the win over Kentucky just 7 days ago. And our own Chip Brown was reporting that Arch Manning was getting some reps with the one. So I think everybody expects Quinn Ewers to start tonight's game, but Buck going up against a very, very good Texas A&M defensive front, having a banged-up quarterback who's not 100%, not ideal for the Longhorns.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be played out. I mean, if he's able to go, he's going to go. I mean, his foot will have to fall off just about before Sark changes him, or he's going to have to not do very well in order for him to be pulled as the quarterback. What you need is a guy who's been through the fire. You need that kind of leadership in a game like this, but there's an awful lot at stake. And if he just can't do it, then you have to make a move. You have to win the game. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
It's not about anybody's feelings. It's not about anybody being a hero tonight. It's about if he can't go and he's not, and what it is the injury is causing him to screw up the team, then he can't do that. You can't afford to do it, and you can't afford to wait an awful long time because this defense for Texas A&M is stout, and they are good. That front seven is as good as there is in college football right now. So, and if Quinn Ewers can't escape, I mean, you talking about putting your team at risk, you put the kid at risk too.
Yeah.
But he's going to he's going to be playing limped up. I mean, you're going to see him limp around the place, but I mean, you see a lot of guys limping around this time of the year anyway. Everybody's just kind of banged up. You find a way to play through the games. We watched the kid last night from Georgia Tech. That guy was limping from play one.
The Aggie transfer.
Yeah, the guy was limping from the first play of the game all the way through the 8th overtime and still made it through the game and played a hell of a football game. So Quinn Ewers is going to get every opportunity to try to lead this football team, but the head coach is not going to be stupid because it's about the team. It's not about the kid,
Right.
It's about what the team needs to do. So it'll be very interesting to see. Hopefully he's okay. I mean, guys play with twisted ankles all the time. So
yeah. Well, the leash question is an interesting one because even though Texas beat Kentucky 31-14, and even though Texas led by at least 2 possessions for the entirety of the second half last week, there were a lot of Longhorn fans who wanted to see a change made at quarterback, right? The offense was sputtering a little bit. It was clear that Quinn was hobbled. They weren't taking any shots down the field. Hell, they weren't throwing short and intermediate passes. They just relied on the run game. Thankfully, the run game was good enough down the stretch to lead Texas to a victory. But you wonder, I mean, we saw it earlier this year when Texas went down 23-0 in the first half against Georgia. Sark made the move. He put Arch Manning in the game for a little bit. Obviously went back to Quinn for the second half of that one, and Quinn kind of found it again. But you wonder, with all that's at stake here, if Texas goes down early. I think if the Longhorns are in control, doesn't matter how Quinn looks, Quinn's going to stay out there.
Sure.
But if Texas goes down early, do you think maybe Steve Sarkisian would be willing to go from his 3-year starter to the redshirt freshman?
Yeah, I think if it's ever to the point where it's 17-3, I think 17 is that magic number to me. For him, if it's 14-0, your quarterback's still okay. You just have done some things that maybe your defense let one get away. It's 2 touchdowns. I'm still going with my starter. I'm not ready to pull the plug on my starter. Then when it gets to 17, that's when I start to worry a little bit about the team and his ability to escape. And if he has no escapability, then it may be even sooner than that. I mean, if he just can't get out of the way, if he's stumbling in the pocket because his ankle's bothering him and this pass rush is coming at him, I think you make the move a little bit sooner. And I think it'll just be the way the game flows right now. I mean, I think if the team can run the football, BK, the way they ran the ball last week, you can dink and dunk your way around to a victory tonight. You really can. You don't have to throw a lot of shots down the field. That run game was so stout last week against Kentucky, a fine Kentucky defense. And if Texas A&M is not up for it and they think Quinn Ewers is just going to sit in the pocket and throw the ball all over the place, and they're not really protecting themselves from the run, I think Sark will run the ball at them. I think he'll run screens, any kind of way to get the ball. But they don't necessarily have to throw the ball way down the field tonight.
No.
I feel really, really good about what I saw last week from this Texas Longhorn offensive line. And it's been kind of hit and miss during the course of the season when it comes to the run game. And I think what we saw is a pretty stout run game this late in the season from a bunch of guys that looked like they were ready to roll for the run. I mean, that offensive line was really pushing Kentucky's defensive line all over the place. And if they can do that with A&M, I don't think you need a lot of big plays. I think you can do some dinking and dunking there because I truly think this Texas defense is going to cause a few turnovers by a young quarterback for Texas A&M.
Yeah, we saw the other 10 guys on the Texas offense elevate their game after Quinn Ewers got hurt, right? That was the best rushing performance we've seen from this Texas team all year long. I think that was the best offensive line performance we've seen from this Texas team all year long. And obviously the defense continued to do what it's done all season long. You're going to need that today. Like, obviously, whoever's playing quarterback is going to have to step up and make some throws, but you want to get your run game going early. You want to keep your defense rolling the way that it's done over these 11 games to this point in the season to take some of the pressure, whether it's Quinn or whether it's Arch Manning, who we're all excited about as the future quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. That guy's never played in a game like this in his life. Like, you want to take as much pressure on whoever's playing quarterback for Texas as you possibly can. The other 10 guys on offense and obviously all 11 on defense are going to have to rise to the occasion once again.
Yeah, I think the running backs right now, this will be a huge game for what they're all about. We've had questions about them all season long, basically actually until last week as a group when they rushed for over 250 yards. That was some intense play by those guys last week. They all took part in it. Yeah, there's one guy who has a little bit of trouble handling the ball right now. That's the guy I'll worry about in the fourth quarter and I'll find out about him early. If we get to the point where Jaden Blue is dropping balls in the first quarter, I'm not handing him the ball in the fourth quarter. But if he's fine, I mean, in clutch time, he's one of the guys. He's that quick guy. He's that guy, that speed guy to get outside with the way this defensive line comes at you from the inside. He's the guy who can break the perimeter, get you 5 or 6 yards before anybody even touches him.
Yeah, Jaden Blue.
Oh, yes.
A couple fumbles last week, 8 career fumbles on only 214 career touches during his Texas career. That is a fumble every 26.7 times he touches the ball.
It's not good for a running back right there.
No, he's a supreme talent. We know that. And you've talked about it all season long, Buck. When that guy gets in space, he's very hard to bring down. I mean, it is very rare that the first defender is able to tackle Jaden Blue. But if he keeps coughing up the rock, it hasn't cost Texas too much to this point. This team's 10-1. But in a game like this, with a spread of only 4.5 in Vegas right now, and the crowd in Aggie Land going to do what they are going to do tonight, the football.
They're going to kiss their sister, aren't they?
They are going to, yeah.
They like that stuff. They like that funny kind of stuff.
Yeah, they do make out with somebody after.
Oh, it's not necessarily their sister?
It might be.
Okay.
I think it's just whoever's sitting next to you. So if you're at the game with your family, then I guess that's who you get.
Well, look out.
I don't know if you just ask somebody random. I think it's just whoever's there is who you get to French.
Wow.
I hope we don't see a lot of that tonight.
No, I hope not.
I remember, obviously, when this game was played during my childhood before it stopped in 2012, every time A&M would score on the TV broadcast, they would just show the fake military making out with people.
Wow.
I just didn't need to see that,
Yeah, I never really looked in the stands when I was coaching, so I never looked over to see if they were actually doing it. I know they were swaying and going back and forth and doing all kinds of weird things like that, making the stadium rock. But I tell you what, I couldn't have been in a more enjoyable place to be a part of a football game on the sideline than to be at College Station when there's $100,000 and that place is rocking and rolling. And now it will be the loudest place that Texas has played this year.
Oh yeah,
it will be so loud. I mean, it's hard to hear yourself think. You're just kind of in your own little world there. And boy, penalties will play a big role tonight. Okay, this is a game right here where you have to be in control of your emotions, but you can't get too emotional in this game. But you've got to play with emotion tonight. You really, really do. And this is that first couple series in the first quarter will tell an awful lot about the physicality of the game for the Longhorns if they're up for the physicality. Texas A&M will be ready for that. They'll be up for it. It's just to see if the Texas Longhorns will be up for the physical play against the Aggies tonight.
Buck, what do you call a good-looking woman on the campus of Texas A&M University?
Oh, I know now. A visitor.
A visitor. Yeah.
There you go. I got that. You got me that one.
Well done. Right.
I like that.
I'm with you though. The battle in the trenches. The more physical team's going to win this game tonight. And for my money, Texas has played 4 games against very good to elite defensive fronts. I would say Michigan.
Yes.
Very good to elite defensive front. Ohio State found that out today. I would say Oklahoma, even though they haven't had a great year, they've got a fantastic defensive front. I would say Georgia's in that mix as well. I would say Kentucky last week, even though the Wildcats did not have a great game today and did not have a great season, they've got some NFL dudes.
Yes, they do.
On their defensive front 7. In 3 of those 4 games, the Texas offensive line dominated, right? They went up to Ann Arbor, did whatever they wanted offensively against Michigan. In Dallas against OU, 34-3, no problems there. Obviously, the Kentucky game last week, we just talked about them running for more than 250 yards. If Texas gets the offensive line we saw in those 3 games today, Horns are going to win, and they're going to cover.
Yes.
If Texas gets the offensive line, whether it's penalties or miscommunications or all the above that we saw against Georgia here in Austin a few weeks ago, then that could spell some trouble.
Yeah, and the Aggies will try to smother them then. I mean, it won't be just a beat. It'll be a beat down if they're not prepared to be physical and be physical without the penalties. I mean, without the grabbing and holding, because anything that we saw in the Georgia film, Texas A&M has the dudes to do that. Exactly. Plus, they play a pretty good scheme themselves. I mean, they're physical enough, and they twist and they stunt and they do all the things that you want a really good defense, under Mike Elko anyway.
Yeah.
So forget just watching what they saw against what Texas couldn't do against Georgia. They've got their own schemes that are pretty damn good.
And that Texas A&M has been looking forward to this game for a while.
Of course they have.
I mean, we saw them lose to Auburn in quadruple overtime last week. But, of course, their head coach, Mike Elko, in a press conference before the Auburn game, said all of our attention is on Auburn right now. So they've been paying attention to this one for a long time. And, look, it's been a very successful year 1 for Mike Elko in College Station. Obviously, you beat Texas, you get to the SEC title game. That takes things to another level for them. But, Buck, the A&M defense – they're 1-2 in their last 3 games. The only win in that time was against New Mexico State. So they've lost their last 2 SEC games. They gave up 40-plus to South Carolina. They gave up 40-plus to Auburn last week. South Carolina's good. Big win today for them. Auburn's not very good.
No.
That A&M defense that has a lot of talent on paper and looked really good in the first half of the season, in their last 2 conference games, they have struggled a little bit.
Yeah, if they don't get pressure on the quarterback and they don't stop you with the up front guys, they're relatively average in the secondary. There's nothing spectacular about their secondary play, but if their defensive line is getting to your quarterback and pressuring your quarterback and causing them to throw real early or late and make late throws, and then that becomes a problem. But I don't see them doing anything that's great in the secondary. The up front guys are good.
Yeah,
they truly are good. But if you can keep those guys in check, you can throw the ball down the field. Like I said, and they'll give you a lot. They'll give you that intermediate ball where your tight end can get in the middle of the field. We've got some fantastic wide receivers that don't necessarily have to catch bombs all the time. you can get even with a guy with a banged up ankle, you can get the ball down the field if you protect him.
Yep, and the good news for Texas, look, we talked about the Quinn Ewers injury situation. That's not the good news, but one of those explosive playmakers on the outside, Isaiah Bond, is reportedly as healthy as he's been since the month of September.
That's a plus for him just to be on the field. It doesn't necessarily have the ball have to go to him, but they have to be aware of him, and they can't. They understand there's a couple of their guys that can't go one-on-one with them because he will just go right by them.
Yeah, Texas is relatively healthy. And obviously C.J. Baxter and Christian Clark and some of the running backs have been out for the entire season. But you've got your full complement of receivers good to go. Gunnar Helm, your tight ends, and all of your tight ends are good to go. The offensive line has stayed healthy, knock on wood, throughout the course of the season.
You've got one of the best play callers in football.
And you've got Steve Sarkisian as well. Like, the Longhorns have a lot going for them in this game. But, the battle of the trenches is going to be huge. Buck, while we're talking about the Texas offense going up against the Texas A&M defense, we might as well get to our offensive player of the game prediction, brought to you by our great friends at Verde's Mexican Parrilla.
Yes.
I'll tell you more about them in a moment, but I will give you the honors, Buck. Who is your offensive player of the game for the Longhorns tonight?
My big 85% of the time it's got to be Quinn Ewers, the quarterback. Not tonight. Quintravian Wisener.
Oh, you're going full name.
I'm going, yes.
What his mama calls him.
I'm doing what his mama told me to do.
Is he in trouble?
He's not in trouble, but I expect him to continue to play the way he's played all year long. He has shown me that this guy is a legitimate big-time running back in the SEC. This guy can run on all levels, and he's done some things that really have surprised me. But I think with this offensive line in the way, I think he understands the way these dudes block now.
Yep.
He understands the schemes that are up front and everything else, and he's been a powerful runner. He's had enough speed. He's got the ability to make you miss, and he finishes his run. And he doesn't fumble. So that to me is very, very important.
Anybody who doesn't fumble in that Texas running back room is going to get the most carries.
Yeah, and I think this is a great opportunity for him to continue to go the way he's going, because this guy will be pushing not only for this year but for next year as the starting running back. It's not necessarily given to the young man, who's going to come back with a repaired knee. This guy right here has earned this spot. This is going to be a hard spot to take away from this young guy.
Absolutely.
It really is. And I think he continues tonight.
He's tough. He's physical.
Yes.
He's hard-nosed. And, man, Sark raved about him all offseason long.
And he was right on the money.
He was right on the money, right? Sometimes coaches will just pick a random player
and talk about how good he is. And you just say, well, oh, yeah, he's good. And we understand he's better than we thought he was. But this guy's a lot better. He's a lot better than I thought. And I've seen a couple running backs in my days. I like the way he plays the game. I think he has everything. And you know what? He catches the ball a little bit better than I originally thought, too. He's gotten better as the season has gone on.
Yep.
Them throwing the ball to him out of the backfield.
Remember, he had that drop against Georgia on that screen that could have been a 40 or 50-yard touchdown, whatever it was. But since then, it's kind of felt like Trey Wisner has been much more sure-handed. That's a huge part of the Texas offense, right? Whether it's Wisner or Blue or to a lesser extent Gibson, those guys need to be factors in the passing game as well. So the fact that, Gibson has gotten Wisner has gotten a little bit better with his hands.
Yes.
That's been another element to this Texas offense that makes this bunch very difficult to stop.
And plus this is going to be a perfect night for football there at College Station. I mean, the wind may be a little bit, no, there's nothing. This is just a perfect night for football. I don't see anything in the weather. I checked the forecast. There's not going to be any rain. I mean, it would be advantage to Texas A&M if it was a little slick out, but this is advantage. Fast field like they have there at College Station. You get your fast wide receiver back. You get your quarterback that's a little banged up. It's going to be a lot of catching the ball and running after the ball. What can you do? And I think Texas has the advantage when it comes to wide receivers, catch and run type of guys, especially with the tight end position.
Before I give my offensive player of the game prediction, do you think that A&M is going to pull in Arkansas and neglect to cut the grass to try to slow down this very fast Texas offense?
No, it's an ag school, and they want to show you how well the grass has been manicured. They're not going to screw it up and have people talk about how bad their field looks and that the grass is too long. It's going to be well groomed tonight. It's going to be fast because they needed to be fast for their guys too. This isn't Notre Dame where everybody got they just got a bunch of mules on the field. This is the thoroughbreds that'll be out there tonight. So they want it nice and smooth. So I expect this field to look fantastic tonight.
62 degrees right now in College Station.
Great time, great weather for football.
Looking like mid to upper 50s around kickoff at 6:30. The weather will cool down over the course of the night, but not a ton of wind, so the weather shouldn't be much of a factor in C-Stat. I don't know if this is legal, Buck. I'm going to double up on my offensive player of the game prediction.
Double up.
I had Gunnar Helm last week.
Yes.
He had 2 touchdown catches.
Yes, he did.
So I feel like it was a pretty solid pick for me. I'm going to go with Gunnar Helm again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be the guy. And it's not that they don't pay attention to him, and it's not that Sark schemes him open. He gets open now.
Yeah.
And he is a threat once he gets the ball in his hands. He's like a runaway bull. I mean, once he catches the ball, I don't know who, he becomes OJ with the ball under his arms. I mean, he'll jump over guys, he'll hurdle over guys, but he makes plays with his feet too. It's not just with his hands. Catches the ball real simple, real easy, but his run after the catch is made, that's making him some money, by the way.
OJ who?
O.J. Simpson.
I don't know if you should be comparing Gunnar Helm to O.J. Simpson. We're in public right now. Everyone just turned and looked at you, dude. He's saying he's going to be running with a knife on the field tonight? Like,
he's going to be hacking off heads? No.
Oh, my gosh.
No, I've liked his progress. I mean, and his progression of just being that guy that the head coach schemes open down the sideline. And so somebody forgot about Gunnar Helm again.
Yeah.
No, that guy gets himself open, and quarterbacks aren't afraid to throw even in a crowd with him because he comes up with the ball. And as I said, I didn't realize, I thought he was a 6'3", 6'2" guy. That dude's 6'5", 250, almost 260.
Think about it. Gunnar Helm was a 3-star recruit out of high school. Look at the other pass-catching threats on Texas, right? Isaiah Bond, former 5-star Alabama transfer. Matthew Golden, Houston transfer. Silas Bolden, Oregon State transfer. Ryan Wingo, 5-star. Jonte Cook, when he was here, 5-star.
Yes.
DeAndre Moore, high 4-star. Like, all those guys are dudes. Yet Gunnar Helm leads this team in receptions, and he leads this team in receiving yards, and he's tied for second in touchdowns.
Yeah, and the thing about him is you can just tell he's just as proud as can be of his ability to catch and run with the ball, whether he's hurdling over the top of guys, whether he's finishing his runs for first downs. I like it. I like when he gets the ball, I kind of move around on the couch. I get up a little bit and say, what is this guy going to do now once he has the ball? He'll stiff arm you down. He doesn't go down easy. You know, he doesn't go down like a bunch of tight ends where you'll cut their legs out from under him. You go down low on him, he'll go right over the top of you.
Yep, and A&M's linebackers are very good.
They are.
Torian York, a true sophomore, he had such a good freshman season that Mike Elko brought him to SEC media days, which you almost never see.
Didn't bring the quarterback, but he brought the tight end one. I mean, the linebacker. How about that?
You know, we were pretty skeptical of that. Like, why is Connor Wigman not here? Turns out Mike Elko knew that Connor Wigman wasn't very good at football.
That's true.
So Torian York was there. I mean, that guy was a freshman All-American last year. He's a stud, leads the team in tackles by like 25. Not great in coverage. The Aggie linebackers aren't great in coverage. So
no,
they're going to try to one-on-one a linebacker against Gunnar Helm. I would say advantage Texas all night long.
Yes, for sure.
So that's why I'm going with Gunnar Helm as my pick.
And it doesn't matter to me if they have to bring another secondary because, like I said, there's nobody in that secondary that stands out in the SEC for Texas A&M. There's not a great secondary player on this team. They're just kind of average in the back there.
Absolutely. All right, shout out to Verde's Mexican Parrilla.
Love it.
Looking for a place for dinner tonight. If you're out near Dripping Springs towards the Hill Country, go see our friends at Verde's Mexican.
Love their outdoor patio.
Oh, man, the covered outdoor patio.
Oh, yeah.
With a bunch of space for the kids to run around while you're enjoying some margaritas and some great Tex-Mex and Mexican food. The pork chop there is to die for as well. And if you go
Chef Cody
and mention Texas Sports Unfiltered, you're going to get a free appetizer at Verde's Mexican Parrilla, located off Hamilton Pool Road, just off of 71. Go out and see them. And once again, mention Texas Sports Unfiltered for a free app. Those are our offensive player of the game predictions. We will take yours as well. But before we get back into Texas and Texas A&M, how about our first round of scoreboard updates brought to you by Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. What a day of college football it's been.
Already.
Really, what a weekend. You can obviously go back to last night. I think everybody knows what happened in that Georgia Tech game where Georgia basically clinching a spot in the college football playoff with an 8-overtime come-from-behind victory against Georgia Tech. They were down by as many as 17 in that game. Georgia Tech, man, Haynes King had such a great game, but a bad fumble late to give Georgia some life. They forced overtime, and it took a million two-point conversions, but ultimately Georgia got the win there. And the chaos has continued today. I got to give you some love, my friend, because all week long on Bucky and BK on Texas Sports Unfiltered, you have said that Michigan was going to go into Columbus and not only cover the 3-touchdown line against Ohio State, but win that game outright. I called you an idiot. Turns out I'm the idiot. Nice pick.
Pretty easy pick today.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, that was easy. That was an easy pick. Michigan beating them for the 4th straight time. not the third straight, but for the fourth year in a row.
You got to get LeBron, not 2,
Yeah.
not 3.
Michigan goes in there, and they're more physical than Ohio State. You know, that win last week against Northwestern when they got into the 50s was an indication of that the kind of Michigan team that everybody thought they were going to be. Now, they still struggle with their quarterback.
Oh, my God. Davis Warren threw the worst interception I've ever seen in my life.
He's terrible.
Like Michigan, I mean, Ohio State couldn't do anything, and Michigan kept getting chance after chance after chance, and they kept blowing it.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally on the last drive of the game, nice run by Davis Warren, a nice run by Mullings. They get into field goal range. Their kicker drills one, and then they get the stop. So, like, they had 15 chances to win. They struck out on the first 14, but they got it done at the end.
You know, this is a Michigan's team that played without one of the best cornerbacks in college football, you know, who's been out for the season. They really, really missed that kid.
And their tight end was out.
And their tight end. And they still found a way to win because, you know why? They're just better than Ohio State.
Well, Buck, I thought Michigan sucked and Texas sucks because everyone's beating Michigan this year, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's been trying to discredit the Longhorns for what they did in Ann Arbor.
Can stop all that. That's a pretty good Michigan team.
You know, all these teams that Texas apparently hasn't played, they keep beating everybody else.
Right.
They don't beat Texas, but they beat everybody else. So I'm just saying, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, that was a well-played game by Michigan. That's just – I might as well call it. They'll win again next year.
Dude, Ryan Day, I mean, Ohio State's probably making the playoff. They're not making the Big Ten championship game. They blew it. Penn State's crushing Maryland. They're going to play Oregon next week in Indianapolis.
That's not good for Ryan Day.
But if Ohio State's an early out in the CFP, it might be the end for that guy. As crazy as that sounds, considering like how many games he's won, you lose to Michigan 4 years in a row.
And you've paid that much NIL money?
Yeah, like we'll see, man. Once again, if they lose early in the playoff, I still think they're getting in, whether people agree with it or not. That could spell doom for Coach Day, who just looks lost on the sideline right now.
I just couldn't believe it. I'm watching him, and they're, you know, of course they've got Ron Howard at quarterback.
I don't think it's Ron Howard.
It's not Ron Howard?
No, it's Will Spill the Pill.
Oh.
The guy, you know, a lot of people thought Ohio State was going to win it all this year, and I'm like, well, I saw that guy play at Kansas State.
They're
He's
not winning
very
it all.
good. Yeah, they're not winning it with that guy, and that guy sucked today.
Yeah, he was not good today.
So
I mean, some of the biggest games that they've had, and obviously they've all the losses they've had, he's played terrible.
Yes.
He really has. You know, they've got the ability to run the ball, but they can't throw it down the field. They've got the young wide receiver that's out of this world as a freshman, but that's it.
That's it. Yeah, congrats to Tennessee. They punched their ticket to the CFP with a 36-23 win in Nashville against Vanderbilt today. About South Carolina. You feel for Cade Klubnik, Austin's own. Had a great game, but a brutal interception in the final seconds as Clemson was they were already in field goal range, trying to tie it and force overtime. They were trying to get a few more yards. A tip ball turns into a diving INT for the Cox. South Carolina, they find a win at Clemson. They don't win that rivalry very often. They got it done today.
So. Yeah, and they're trying to find their way in, too, because the SEC wants to get 12 teams in there.
Yeah.
They're trying their best.
The SEC, they're trying their best to get like 2 teams in there. If Georgia loses last night, that could have been real bad. If Tennessee lost, they were down early to Vandy today. It could have been ugly for the SEC. But
yes. Yeah, and South Carolina's playing. Coach Beamer's doing a fantastic job. You know, they got the quarterback, they've got all kinds of defense. But with the schedule that Texas played, I'd have loved to play them every week.
No kidding.
When everybody's saying, "Oh, you wouldn't want to play them now," I said, "Oh, yes, I would.
I'll play them.
I'll play them. You can leave Georgia at home. I'll play them on any given Saturday than to play the Bulldogs and some of the other teams that Texas has played."
Yeah, a couple of games.
Oh, that Florida team that all of a sudden is getting real good that beats everybody else?
Right.
Texas has beat them too.
By a lot.
Don't
forget about that. A couple of games in progress right now. Mentioned Penn State all over Maryland. Notre Dame winning, they're in the CFP. Lose, and who knows? They're tied with USC at halftime. 14-all in Inglewood.
They're not going to find a way to get them in if they lose, right? They're done.
Yes.
That would be 3 losses, correct?
No, that'd be 2.
That'd just be 2 for Notre Dame?
Yep. So because everybody else keeps losing, maybe the Irish could afford a loss today.
No.
They shouldn't because they have played nobody. You think Texas has played nobody. Look at Notre Dame's schedule this year.
They're taking advantage of our military.
Yeah. And how about Miami and Syracuse? Miami was up 21-0. That game tied at 21 early third quarter. If Miami wins, they're in the ACC title game. If they lose, Clemson, even though they lost today, will be in the ACC title game. Still with a playoff opportunity. Alabama over Auburn 14-6 at halftime there. And SMU, who's already clinched a spot in the ACC championship, They lead Cal 21-0 in Dallas right now.
It's almost as if they have to win the ACC championship.
Yeah, I think they do. I don't think it's fair, but I think that's the reality.
Yep.
I think SMU's got to win today, and I think they've got to beat Miami or Clemson, whoever they get. And
if they get to the championship game and they lose that game, even with that loss, they're not getting in.
No, I think you're right. So there you go. Our first round of scoreboard updates. We'll obviously keep you posted on everything that's going on. It is the final Saturday of the regular season in college football. There's still so much college football left. It doesn't feel like the season's anywhere close to over. But, man, it's the last regular season Saturday we have, and it has been a crazy start to the day. Obviously, a lot more madness still to come. Shout out to Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill, Buck.
Love Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. You're looking for a special place to have brunch, head on over there. Whether the game's in College Station, if you've got parents in town or you just need a nice spot to go before lunch, brunch is magnificent at the Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Well, any night's good there.
Yeah.
Happy hour's fantastic, but I love the brunch.
Can't go wrong.
No.
You can't go wrong. All right, back into this Texas A&M game. By the way, moonshinegrill.com for more information and to make your reservations. And more than 20 years in the Austin area for our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. But back to this Texas A&M game, Buck. Am I wasting my breath saying I want explosive plays from the Texas offense tonight?
No, I think you got to have those tonight.
Have we given up on this team's ability to throw the ball down the field? I'm with you. Like, it would help. And that's what Auburn did last week to get out to that 21-0 lead. They had 6 explosive pass plays and 6 explosive runs last week in that win over Texas A&M. The Aggie defense, not as good as the Texas defense, but it's the same concept. You don't want to have to put together 9, 10, 11, 12 play drives against them. You would like to have some ability to pick up chunk plays. Any faith that Texas can figure that out tonight?
No, I think they have the ability, as they said. They've got guys who can catch and run, which is important. It's not just catch and fall. Hey, thank you, nice catch, but the ability to catch and make something happen. And I think they do that. I think they get that tonight. I think the ball will go down the field a little bit. I want them to run some clock against and force a young quarterback at Texas A&M to have to make some throws in the pocket because you can't let them outside the pocket. But I think Texas has some explosive plays in their arsenal. And I think yes, if you get 4 or 5 of those during the course of the game, 4 or 5 big plays.
Yeah.
And then that includes the run game too. I'm expecting that. We've seen it all year. This team has the ability to do that because they have those type of players. Texas A&M, not so much. After they lost their fantastic running back, it's been all about their quarterback and their defense.
Yeah.
There's not much to it after that. They've got okay runners. They don't have a great one in the backfield right now.
No, and that's been a big difference, right?
Certainly has.
Flipping over to the A&M offense against this Texas defense. Look, this Longhorn defense, the best in the SEC, the best in the country for my money. They've passed every test that they have been given to this point in the year. But it's kind of a unique challenge going up against Marcel Reed, who is a true dual threat, who has been an electric playmaker. He is a dynamic runner. And for a redshirt freshman, he's got composure and poise in the pocket. But to your point, Le'Veon Moss got hurt in that A&M game against South Carolina in the first half, and the Aggie offense just hasn't been the same without him. Amari Daniels is a fine running back. They got Emmitt Smith's son, EJ, who's okay. Like, they've got other guys who have gotten the ball since
they
Moss
use a
got
lot
hurt.
of them.
And they do. They still want to run. They're still one of the best rushing teams in the SEC. Like, that's Mike Elko, defensive-minded coach. He wants to win with defense. He wants to ground and pound a lot to a victory. But that offense hasn't been the same. Marcel Reed, all 3 of his interceptions have come since Le'Veon Moss got hurt. And once again, the Aggies are 0-2 in their last 2 SEC games. Like, they just haven't been that same group without their star running back.
Well, it's tough for them because, for Texas A&M, generally that's where the explosive plays come from is out of the backfield. That for years and years, they've always had a dynamic runner with a pretty good offensive line. And right now, it's not that way. They've got average runners running the ball for them. And their line is played pretty average too. It's not a spectacular line, and I think you're going to find that out tonight, that you're going to see a young quarterback in the pocket that's not going to have an awful lot of time because of this Texas defense. As you said, the best in the nation. I don't think that changes because they're playing at College Station. They just have to be very careful on how they pressure him and what they force him to do. I'd like for him to I'd like for this game to be on his shoulders, on his throwing arm, where he really has to throw. and not on the ability for him, well, we can break containment anytime we want. I mean, they had to play some very, very disciplined football tonight. But it doesn't mean dude can't run in the middle and take off and go either.
Sure.
That guy can escape. Once he escapes, he can really go. And he makes those, it's 3rd and 7. I mean, that guy can walk to 7 yards and get you a first down. So you got to be careful on how you rush him and how much you pressure him.
Yeah.
I would rather for him to sit in the pocket and think he has the throw than for him to sit, panic, and then take off with the football.
I think discipline is very important,
yes.
Right? And Texas has played some dual-threat quarterbacks this season. You think of the former president, Martin Van Buren
yes.
at Mississippi State.
Absolutely.
He's a guy who could take off and run. Texas did a pretty good job. Michael Hawkins Jr., a.k.a. Mike Hawk, in the Oklahoma game. Texas did a great job keeping him in the pocket, not letting his legs be the difference in that game. Marcel Reed, I think, is a better runner than either of those guys. I think you have to go back to Jalen Milroe in that Alabama game at the start of last season to find a running quarterback as good as the guy that Texas will see tonight. But Texas, it feels like when they've had to go up against dual-threat quarterbacks, they've been disciplined, they've maintained their rush lane integrity, and they haven't been getting burned by guys who can extend
Well,
plays.
if you tell me that Anthony Hill's going to sit in the middle of the field tonight as a linebacker, and maybe not as a pass rusher, but as a true linebacker, and just mirror where this quarterback goes, I'm good with that.
Yep.
I'm good. I mean, it's 11 on 11, and that's your guy for the night. That's fine with me. Don't let that guy do damage. I mean, make sure that you've got him so that if he does break containment, you're right there for minimal gain from him. You just can't let him. You just can't get lost because you're dropping in coverage, doing some other things. That's a part of the defensive scheme. Part of the defensive scheme tonight should be spying on the quarterback. It's got to be.
I'm glad you brought up Anthony Hill because it's been I feel like tumultuous is the wrong word to use. It's been an eventful week for Anthony Hill. So he balled out against Kentucky.
Oh, yes.
11 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 sacks. I mean, he was a man amongst boys against the Wildcats last week. Earlier this week, the Butkus Award finalists were released. Best linebackers in the country. Anthony Hill was not one of the finalists. And you look at his numbers compared to the guys who were finalists.
Sure.
Anthony Hill had a very strong case to be on that list. He didn't make the cut. Then one of the Aggie offensive linemen, Trey Zune, who's one of their starting tackles, came out and said, Anthony Hill's not great. We've seen guys like that. We're not worried about him at all. So he's been in the news, not really for anything he's done, but for a bunch of other stuff that's happened around him. Talk about guys who are going to be motivated. Anthony Hill was once committed to Texas A&M, flipped to Texas late in the cycle after Jimbo got on the hot seat. And that guy's going to be amped up, and Texas is going to need him ready to roll.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's that guy who can give the quarterback the business, as they say. You know, once he gets a hold of that kid and brings him to the ground, this is a guy who can catch the quarterback, catch up to the quarterback, and punish the quarterback too, because he's got that sense of where to be. His timing is really good. And that's the kind of guy that you need, because it's not just the fact that you can replace him and put another safety in, which they've got plenty of them. They're pretty good at that, but I think you still have to have Anthony Hill in, because the ability for Texas A&M to want to run the ball. They're going to want to run. So
sure.
you've got to have that kind of guy who has the physicality of a run stopper also, but he still has the ability, a finesse guy who can chase down the quarterback too. But as I said, if you told me tonight his job was strictly to mirror the quarterback, I would be just fine with that. Somebody else has to do another job in the run game. I don't care if he doesn't make a tackle. But as long as the quarterback doesn't rush for 75, 100, 150 yards, I think that's just fine. I think Texas would take that.
Well, speaking of that game against Alabama, that was Ant Hill's job at Tuscaloosa.
That it was. He's done it before.
That was only his second career game, right? He was a true freshman in 2023, and maybe that was like, hey, we're just not sure we trust him to do anything else right now. Obviously, they trust him to do a hell of a lot more because that guy's been lined up all over this defense this season. But, yeah, like Marcel Reed, he's the difference maker for A&M. If you're telling me you've got your best defensive player or one of your best defensive players, just keeping an eye on that dude. We know he has the speed. We know he has the instincts. We know he has the awareness to kind of keep a guy like Marcel Reed in check. If that's the game plan, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I just don't see him being that guy on the outside, rushing from the outside, that hard outside charge with that kid coming up underneath and then taking off, and you're behind him now and having to play catch up to him. I want you to be right in front of him. I want you to see every move he makes in the pocket. There's enough pressure by Texas defense without him being the primary rusher. These guys have played pretty well on the outside. Defensive ends have played well. They're getting enough pressure up front. I think this is where you just saying, you're just telling yourself, I'm not letting him because I think they're going to be disciplined enough to not let him break contain. I mean, every once in a while, yeah, he's going to get loose. He's just that good of an athlete.
Sure.
If you take one bad step, he's going to beat you. But I think they're going to have a real mental effort about not letting him get to the point where he thinks he can get outside every time he wants to escape. And for Anthony Hill, when this guy flushes and he flushes down the middle and he decides he's going to run, and I like the fact that one thing about this kid, Reed, that he does look to throw the ball. He's not looking to take off. Now, he can take off, but he's also going to step up in the pocket and try to find guys down the field. That's how they get their guys open. They don't just they're not going to flat out beat the cornerbacks of the secondary. But if he's scrambling around and you're not with your man in that secondary, look out. He'll throw it because he's got a pretty good arm.
Yep.
He doesn't have a great accurate arm, but he's got a good arm.
He does have a good arm. Yep. Here's Steve Sarkisian back on Monday talking about the A&M quarterback.
Legitimate dual threat quarterback. They do a nice job schematically. Colin Klein coming from Kansas State, going there now. They very detailed, offensive system. They've got all the normal run game. They've got all the zone read run game that we've seen in years past, quarterback runs. They've got the passing game, but this guy is electric quickness and speed and a real weapon. I think that's why their red zone numbers are so good, is because when they get down there, you have to defend him running the ball as well as throwing the ball. And I think they've tailored an offense around him to his skill set that make them and make him in particular difficult to defend.
When the head coach tells you that he's a real dual threat quarterback, that always makes me feel like, yeah, that's the guy who's got a pack of matches that just went off in his back pocket. Like, he runs with his ass on fire. When he goes, he can just go.
Yeah.
And he can flat out embarrass you if you're one-on-one and not, have yourself in good position to make a tackle against him. Or you don't have help. You don't force him to go where your help is, thinking that I'll make the play. And that guy beats you to the spot and he's gone. So his dual threat is really, he's a running back type of guy that can really, really make you miss. But he's also slight of built. And if you can get your hands on that dude, you got to punish him when he does run. If he runs up into a crowd with, having to jump over a bunch of legs, when he tries to escape inside and you get a chance to hit him, you got to drive him into the turf.
Yeah.
There's that, like I said, you're going to give him a little bit extra on his elbows. I'm not saying take a cheap shot, but
all right, Greg Williams.
But if the shot is there, you got to take it tonight. It's a rivalry game.
It is. He's 185 pounds, and you're not.
And he looks like he's about 140.
Yeah, you're not saying take a cheap shot or anything. But if Marcel Reed's going to take off and run, and he's not going to get down and slide, then you got to make him pay for running.
Yeah, and he's not a sliding guy. He thinks he's a real athlete. I mean, he thinks he's a running back kind of guy. I'm not going to slide. I'm going to shake and bake you. I'm going to slide off of your tackle. Okay, if he doesn't spin or he doesn't slide, and he wants to take on that tackle, you got to really get your shoulder into him and make him pay for running the ball.
Absolutely. Shout out to Noe, by the way, with the big super chat saying, beat those effing Aggies.
There you go, Noe.
Been a long time since we've had the opportunity to do that on the gridiron. Once again, 4,755 days since Texas walked off Texas A&M on that Justin Tucker field goal back in 2011. The Longhorns don't care how it happens tonight. Any kind of win, whether it's by 20 or by 1 in the final seconds, will get the Longhorns into the SEC championship.
Yeah, just get me in position to have your guy kick a winning field goal. That would be just fine, too.
Do we trust?
Yes.
Bert Auburn?
Yeah, I'm trusting him 45 and in. No 50-yarders.
I'm trusting him 15 and in.
Yeah, I would rather go ahead and let my defense – I'd rather punt the ball, get them inside the 10, and let them try to come out of that hole than to try 50-yard field goals with this dude who's not going to,
I think Michael Kern's pretty important tonight, and that might scare Texas fans. A&M's got a very good punter. Texas has had some inconsistencies in the punting game.
Sure.
Obviously, you don't want to see the punter a lot because that means your offense is stalling out. But naturally, in a game like this, going up against a defense like that, field position is going to be important. You'd really like to see Michael Kern have the best game of his career.
Yeah, and when you talk about explosive plays, A&M is going to try their explosive play. They're going to try to maneuver reverse pass or something with the running back throwing the ball or double screen back to the quarterback. You're at home, and there's a lot on the line. You got your home crowd. So I expect them to have some triggeration tonight, just a little bit.
Absolutely. Hey, you pull out all the stops for a
you
game
do.
Like this. And look, Texas, I don't even want to talk about this, but Texas could still make the college football playoff with the loss tonight. The Aggies need 2 wins to get there.
Yes.
So they've got to win tonight. They've got to find a way to beat Georgia in Atlanta next weekend.
No, they don't automatically get to go if they just are in the game.
No, because they've already lost 3 times, right?
Yes.
So I think they need 2 wins. But in a rivalry game with this much on the line, yeah, they're going to pull out all the stops. I think we'll see some trickeration from Texas in this game tonight as well.
If you got it, if you got them, don't hold them tonight.
Right. You didn't need to do a lot of it against Oklahoma in your other rivalry game. You could kind of vanilla your way to an easy win.
Especially the way you were playing against them, yes.
Yeah, OU's offense was so bad that you didn't have to pull out a bunch of craziness in that game. You might need to pull out all the stops tonight. So we could see that from both sides. And a random nugget about this game, Texas A&M's offensive coordinator is Colin Klein. Texas actually saw Colin Klein the last 2 seasons, because he was the OC at K-State
the
last 2 years. Texas won both of those games. They kind of went similarly, right? The Longhorns in 2022 in Manhattan, last year in Austin. Texas got out to big leads in both of those games, stubbed themselves in the toe, a couple of turnovers. They let K-State get back into it. Obviously, last year that was a Malik Murphy game that ended with K-State going for it on 4th down in overtime instead of playing for the field goal. So Texas is familiar with Colin Klein and what he likes to do on offense.
There's no doubt. And as I said, and they'll run some trick plays tonight. They'll have their share that they're willing to pull out tonight in College Station.
Yeah. And let's get to our defensive player of the game predictions right now while we're talking about the Horns defense going up against that Aggie offense. Defensive player of the game predictions brought to you by our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars. Buck, again, you have the honors.
I am going to go with a kid from the state of Texas, right here in Austin, Texas. I'm going to go with Andrew Makuba.
Okay.
He knows, he understands, even if he had never played in this game, he understands what this game has all been about, what it's all about growing up in this area, Texas A&M. He'll have a feel for it. And I think this, as I said, this is one of those games where you get some overthrows by a young quarterback. He will be there, BK. I'm looking for him to have 2 picks tonight.
2 picks.
2 picks, not 1. I expect him to be in the right position because that's what he does. Between he and Michael Taft, these guys seem to be around where the football is. And when this young guy makes a bad throw, if he overthrows tonight, I expect that you'll see Andrew Makuba right there for 2 of those. I think he'll get one in the regular fashion. Are we back?
Camera.
We're coming back.
We're working on it. A great patron here at Shoal Creek Saloon accidentally bumped into it, but I think we're
I love
okay.
that great patron. Yes, that's extra money.
There
extra
it is.
Money spent. There you go.
There it is. Now you have to tip your wait staff a little bit more for that one, sir. All right, I think we're okay. We're back on. But I'm going to go with Anthony Hill. Like it's a cop
because
out.
if he does a great job, if he's that guy who has to spy the quarterback, in order for them to win, he's going to have to do a great job.
I don't think it matters what he's doing tonight. I just think he's going to be awesome. That's been the case for most of this season. I think he's been playing at an All-American level over the last couple of months. Didn't get the Butkus Award honor that he deserved, but All-Conference and All-American honors should be coming Ant Hill's way over these next couple of weeks. Once again, former Texas A&M commitment.
Yes.
This game's going to mean a lot to him. I think he's going to be on a mission with all the trash talk and all of the disrespect that seemingly has been coming his way over the last 5 or 6 days. I think number 0 shows up and shows out tonight.
Good.
I'm excited. For him. All right, defensive player of the game predictions brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars. Hey, if you were in the market for a new golf carts, check out our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars, locally owned and operated here in the Austin area since 1979. They've got an unparalleled selection of different golf carts available in both new or used. They want to turn your golf cart ideas into reality. If you already have a golf cart, you want to upgrade it a little bit, they'll make it happen. If you're looking for one, drive around the neyborhood.
Heck yeah, man.
They've got you covered. Kenfield Golf Cars. Go to their website, kenfieldgolfcars.com, or give them a shout, 512-258-8515. Once again, Kenfield Golf Cars bringing you our defensive player of the game predictions. Want to give them some serious love. I think this goes without saying, but I'll say it again. Don't give up explosive plays if you're this Texas defense. You've done a great job of that.
Make them earn it all.
Exactly. Just like for Texas, you want to get the explosive plays on offense so you don't have to put together these lengthy drives, don't have to methodically work it down the field against a very good Aggie defensive front. Now, for A&M, their offense just isn't good without Le'Veon Moss to have a bunch of 75, 80, 85-yard drives. So if you prevent those explosive plays, then I think you can do what you've done all season long. I mean, Texas has given up like 12 points per game I think you can stay around that number as long as you're not giving up chunk plays through the air or on the ground.
Yeah, and if you're solid in your special teams, whether it's punt protection, making sure that you get down on punt returns, kickoff returns, those type of things. You can't give up anything in the special teams tonight. This kind of rivalry game, you don't want to be the one to have a punt blocked. That sound, that double thud sound, the worst sound, one of the worst sounds in football is the double thud, like you just got kicked in the nuts. You do not want to hear that sound. That is the worst sound when you're out there. Ba-boom, ba-boom. It's like, that hurt.
That hurts.
You don't need that unless you're on the good side of that.
Yeah, it'd be nice for Texas to have one of those tonight.
I don't know if we've had one of those. I mean, may have had a tipped, but we haven't had a true punt block.
Not like last year.
No, like every time a guy was back there to punt the ball, there was a chance of it being blocked. And this is where you really test, you test the special teams. As I said, you're looking for explosive plays. That's an explosive play to block a punt.
Yeah.
To get them in their territory. But also you got to be careful because you can't, part of that is you can't rough the guy and give them first downs and have them start all over again either. So got to be very careful on what you do. But you have to take some chances. It's a championship game tonight.
I like that. And discipline is very important,
yes.
Right? I mean, you talk about penalties. Look, Texas last week, 5 penalties against Kentucky. They had just
Fantastic.
2 the week before against Arkansas. That's been a huge talking point all season long for us and for Texas fans everywhere.
You're not going to get the benefit of the doubt at College Station tonight.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not. So you've got to play a cleaner game. It's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be a record crowd at Kyle Field tonight.
It's going to be loud.
And Texas has played in hostile environments, right? More than 100K at that Michigan game. Obviously, Texas OU was always insane. The Alabama game last year, you had a bunch of guys who were a part of that who were on this team.
Right.
They've never – Dan Neal, the lifetime Longhorn, the All-American, the 2-time Super Bowl champ, he was on with Chip and Zay earlier this week, and he's like, these guys have no idea what they're in for. Buck, you've talked about it a lot. You've coached in this game a lot. It's just different. So making sure that you don't get bothered by all of that noise that's going to be there, it's going to be paramount.
Yeah, I mean, when you play against Oklahoma, the sounds change. They get loud for a little bit, and then it kind of settles down. It never stops here.
No, it's not one half of the stadium.
No, it's just those people.
And
those people are loud.
They're weird.
And they stay loud. And they stay loud throughout the game. They're standing the whole time. They're screaming and hollering at you. And as I said, sometimes it's really, you've got to – and for this Texas team, we know how the guys are on the offensive line. They're kind of jumpy at times. So 10 seconds after the guy tells you what the count is, sometimes it'll be hard for you to remember. So what was that snap? Did he say 2 or did he say 1 or did he say 3? What is the snap count? I mean, it comes to you that way because it's so loud. It's hard to think about what was said 10 seconds ago.
Oh, it's a silent count night tonight.
Oh, yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah, it's just looking at the ball, guys. It's not one of those you're expecting because you're not going to hear a thing the entire night. I mean, from the warm-ups until when it first starts, it's just hard to think.
Look, 2 Aggies were walking together on campus, and they saw a dog licking itself. The first Aggie says, "Gee, don't you wish you could do that?" Second Aggie replies, "Well, yeah, but I'm afraid it would bite me." Our buddy Brandon Mars says, "The station where men are men and the sheep are scared."
Yeah, look out.
Oh, man. We've got the Aggie jokes coming in on the Clean
game
Cause
day
comments line. Of course, we've got a whole list. We haven't read enough of these on our shows this week. But if you've got Aggie jokes, if you've got score predictions, if you've got thoughts, questions, comments on this game, let us know on the Clean Cause YouTube comments line. Buck, a quick shout-out to our friends at Clean Cause.
Love the folks here. 50% of their profits go to drug rehab and alcohol rehabilitation. They do a fantastic job. Their Yerba Mate drinks, you love those. They taste fantastic. Gives you plenty of energy without the jitters of coffee, without that crazy caffeine kick. Clean Cause all over the state of Texas doing wonderful things. Not many people giving up 50% of the profits. They've been doing it for years, and they continue to do it. For a great cause.
Yep.
Clean cause.
Love their yerba mate.
Yes, you like the yerba mate. You like the cherry, don't you?
The blackberry.
The blackberry.
Blackberry. It's good stuff right there. Pick it up wherever you get.
You can pick it up everywhere.
Groceries, convenience stores, you name it. You can find Clean Cause. Hey, why do Aggies smile during lightning storms, Buck?
I don't know.
They think their picture's being taken.
Oh, wow.
You like that one? We've got a few more of those on tap. All right, back to the game itself. Marcel Reed, we've spent some time talking about him, but it feels captain obvious to say you want to get pressure on the opposing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Marcel Reed's stats this season, and it's clear and obvious that that's got to happen for Texas tonight. And the good news is, look, A&M's got a very good offensive line, but I think their 2 worst performances this year were against Notre Dame and South Carolina.
Yes.
Those teams have elite pass rushers. Texas has elite pass rushers as well. So in their toughest test, the A&M offensive line has played its worst games. Marcel Reed, with a clean pocket this year, completing 65% of his passes, 9.1 yards per attempt, 10 touchdowns to just 1 interception. Under pressure, 43% completion percentage, under 5 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, speed up the thinking process for him.
And he gets sacked a lot. Like,
yes.
He wants to extend plays because he's a dynamic runner, and
right.
he's still young enough to think like, oh, I can outrun everybody that's on the field.
He won't throw it away.
He holds on to the ball for a long time. His sack rate is very high. He's the 2nd worst quarterback under pressure in the SEC. The worst, Brock Vandegrift, who Texas saw against Kentucky. That guy was so bad he got benched last week at halftime against Texas. So you're able to get pressure on Marcel Reed. It makes sense. It's a redshirt freshman quarterback. But if you can do that the way Texas has been doing that, there's your opportunity for takeaways to make life a lot easier for a team with a hobbled quarterback.
Yeah, and for me, I think what they try to do is to get him comfortable. They want to throw a couple, quick outs, things like that. And I look for Texas cornerbacks to understand what this Aggie offense is going to try to do. If they don't feel like they can run the ball successfully against this defense, BK, it's going to be some short, quick, let's get the ball out of his hands. Let's get him some completions early, which means take a couple chances early, to step in front of one of these out patterns and go the other way with it, because they understand that they have to get him comfortable. Speeding up the process for him will be a bad thing for them.
Yeah.
And if you can get in his face and just have him throwing it, he'll throw high, he'll throw over the top of his receivers right into your arms. So, speed up the thinking process a little bit for this kid tonight. Don't let him sit comfortably. Don't get in your base defense and say, you know what, we'll get enough pressure. Their offensive line is pretty good.
It's solid. It's solid. And if you're Texas, a couple other nuggets from what I've seen from Marcel Reed and researching some people who know the game more than I do. Not a great deep ball thrower.
No.
He's got a strong enough arm, but the accuracy has not been there for him. He's best in the middle of the field, between the hashes. Like, that goes to the point of him not being scared of anything.
Right.
A lot of guys, especially young guys, are like, there's too many bodies there. I'm going to try to avoid that. That's where he's at his best. He doesn't quite have the arm strength to get it outside the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're PK coming up with this game plan, I think you need to populate the middle of the field, try to force Marcel Reed to throw those longer passes outside and those deep shots, because that's
where he overthrows balls and throws them out of bounds.
Exactly. That's where he's been at his worst this season. So there's some things you can do. We're talking about a redshirt freshman quarterback who is not the starter for Texas
But you don't
A&M.
want him comfortable. You don't want to start dropping guys back and saying, okay, throw it, and give him time to find guys.
And he's 5-2, which is great. But again, started 4-0, 0 interceptions in his first 4 games, 1-2 in his last 3. All 3 of his interceptions that he's thrown have happened there, and the only win is against New Mexico State.
This great opportunity for guys like Ethan Burke, Alfred Collins to get their hands up when he's in the pocket and throwing and deflect some of these balls. This is the perfect time when you get to his face and make him try to throw around you, try to throw some sidearm type of motion stuff. But to get him comfortable, no, I don't see Texas letting him get comfortable in the pocket.
Here's one from Noe, Buck. How do you keep an Aggie in suspense?
How?
I'll tell you later. It's a good one, Noe.
Good job, Noe.
Well done. Keep those Aggie jokes coming. Also, the Coda text line, 512-222-9328. Buck, I want to take a trip down memory lane. I want to get some personal stories from you. You obviously got to coach in this game a couple of times in the 90s. You were part of that 95 game, if I'm not mistaken, which was a huge turning point in this rivalry, right? A&M went into that game on a 31-game home winning streak. They were favored against Texas. They had kind of dominated the Lone Star Showdown from like the mid-'80s. I think they had won 10 of 11 going into that 95 game. You guys pulled off the 16-6 upset. Big day for Ricky Williams and a big day
we
for
were
the
going
Longhorns.
we were going to run the ball against them, because we were going to run the ball against anybody that we played against. We were going to run the counter against them, and we did. That's when our fans stormed the field.
Yeah.
And our fans storming Kyle Field was not a good.
How does that happen?
How
does the Aggie security allow that to go down?
Well, the corpsmen didn't allow that, because they were putting the boots to people.
Oh, the fake military?
Those dudes were putting their boots in people's faces. They were kicking women, children, anybody that got on this sacred field. I mean, I think they've got some dogs buried underneath that.
They do.
There's some dog bones underneath that, and they didn't want you on their field, and that was a nasty event. I remember holding on to Ricky Williams' jersey as he was pulling me across the field into the locker, actually holding on to his jersey, being dragged across the field, because that I don't know if I'd have made it through. It got nasty.
You were on the ground?
I was on the ground holding on, and he was just pulling, and it was awful. I mean, it was a dangerous event there. That was a scary night. I had never been that scared on a football field.
I was going to ask, what's the craziest thing that's happened to you in that rivalry? I think that's the
answer.
That was it. Dragged by Ricky Williams off the field after a road
into
victory.
The locker room. I mean, right to the very end, where I finally let go and got up and got into that locker.
When's the last time a road fan base has rushed the field?
That was a big. I think didn't that bring us into the game versus Nebraska?
Yes.
That was the year that we went on to beat Nebraska in the first Big 12 championship.
No,
the year before that.
Yeah, that was the last Southwest Conference
championship.
Yep. That kind of turned things around in this rivalry. That was a huge game that you were a part of.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky had a fantastic game that game, and we ran the ball an awful lot. I think James was still the quarterback. James Brown was still there, and we ran the ball on them hard. I mean, they weren't expecting it. They were expecting to be able to take our offensive line. They knew counter plays were coming, but we just kept – it was almost like, hey, here's what's coming. We're going to do this again and again until the cows walk across the field. We're just going to –
Why are you calling the Aggie women that?
I mean,
there's no need for that.
It just kept coming over and over, and they couldn't stop it.
Yeah, obviously the 98 game, the Ricky run.
Oh, yeah.
The record-breaking performance, 259 yards, the Chris Stockton game-winning field goal here in Austin. The last game you've attended at DKR,
yes.
Texas Memorial Stadium, just past the 26-year anniversary of that. The 04 game that got Texas into the Rose Bowl. It kind of catapulted the 2005 national championship season. Obviously, the walk-off Justin Tucker field goal in 2011. Some monumental moments.
But I always made sure that I was like the last one in before halftime when the bands went out on the field, because I love their band. I love their band. Like the two bands, when you have these two teams playing, the halftime is incredible. These two bands, when they get together, I mean, this used to be the march downtown when the Aggies would play here. Their band would march down on Congress, and it was special. This pageantry is such a rivalry that has been missed by not just Texas fans. I believe college football, people that got into this when it was this standalone game on Thanksgiving night, which I hope eventually we get back to that.
I was going to ask you about that.
I would love to get back to that being that only game at night.
We put out a poll on the Texas Sports Unfiltered Twitter account just kind of asking, hey, when do you think the Texas A&M game should be played? Should it be Thanksgiving? Should it be on Black Friday? Should it be today, the last Saturday of the college football regular season? You got all sorts of different answers. I think it needs to be on Turkey Day again, don't you?
Turkey Day, yes.
That's tradition.
Yeah, because then you get a couple of your Aggie brethren or your kinfolk that have been Aggies themselves. They get to stay over at your place and watch the game.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And they go home crying?
Oh, they go home crying.
That's tradition, right? It's food.
They would
take
all the gravy and all the leftover turkey, but they'd go home.
Yeah.
And they would be crying. Yeah.
That's part of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think for folks that are, for Texas fans, there's going to be a lot of young fans that will be going, with mom and dad to College Station who hadn't been a part of this or have never been a part of it.
Sure.
That are going to make this trip with maybe their parents, some friends down there, but they're going to see college football at its best tonight.
Well, you go back 13 years, Buck, the last time these two teams played. I mean, the seniors on these teams were 9 years old. So they can pretend like they know what this is like, and they've heard from family and friends what this game is like, but these guys really don't have a clue what this game is like.
No, they have no idea. I mean, who do we find out that that has been a part of this? There's only one. There's coach.
Blake Gideon.
Blake Gideon's the only one.
Yeah,
only coach that's been involved, or player.
Obviously, none of the players have been involved.
Right, he's the dude. I mean, the first year I was here at Texas, when Texas A&M came to Austin, I remember during the week, all of a sudden we went out to practice, and somebody had cut the horns off of Bevo on the artificial turf. They had cut the horns right off of it. And the Aggies they did that. They had to be replaced during the course of the week.
Someone had to paint it over?
No, they cut them out.
Okay. So they needed new turf.
Yeah, we had to put in a whole section of turf because somebody from Texas A&M had got into the stadium and cut the horns off of Bevo. And I'm like, so it's like this?
Yeah.
It's not just like steal your animal. It's like get into your stadium and cut things up.
Hey, I'm cool with that. That's part of the rivalry. Now Texas has to return the favor. We got to do some stuff to them. I did see earlier this week there were some like Aggie jerseys put on statues around our campus.
Oh, nice.
And around the city of Austin. So lucky I didn't see those guys, or I would have pulled something out of my pocket.
There you go.
It would have been my phone. I would have called the cops.
I called the cops on him.
I probably wouldn't have done anything there. But that's good. Like, that's the rivalry. Like, I just don't think, and I know Brian Davis because I was watching one of his videos on A to Z Sports. I know he's going to get into this with us in a couple of minutes when we talk to him. But it feels like with the fans who are like 30 plus, the hatred is still there. But like for the players, and we've heard stories of guys texting each other this week and talking about how excited they are for like that. I think after this year, we're going to realize, maybe after tonight, everyone's going to realize just there needs to be pure hatred here.
Yeah, it's back. It'll be back.
This isn't like fun. You're playing a team in your state and a bunch of guys that you went up against in high school. Like,
no, it'll start to be ugly after tonight.
I don't know if people realize, the younger generation and the guys in these locker rooms realize just how much hatred there is on both sides of this rivalry.
Yeah, it'll happen in a hurry. Once they get into that stadium, they'll start to feel that.
Yeah, and we've got Rage Nowski with the comment. I hope our boys plant the flag at the 50-yard line after we whoop them. And watch out for the mace from the cops.
Yeah, look out for that.
I saw that in the Michigan-Ohio State game earlier today.
Dude trying to plant the flag. Got it right in the face.
That is something. All right, before we talk to our guy Brian Davis of A to Z Sports.com, Buck, how about some more scoreboard updates brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill? We'll just go with the games in progress for right now. Number 5, Notre Dame on top of USC 28-21. Just under 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Notre Dame driving again, looking to add on to their lead. The Irish win. They will make the playoff.
Yes.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Number 6, Miami. They need a win to make it to the ACC championship game. They are trailing Syracuse in the Carrier Dome 35-28. Final 30 seconds of the third quarter. Nothing new for the U. Every game they've played has been close.
Yeah, they score a lot of points, but they don't seem to stop anybody.
No, so I'm kind of rooting for the Qs here because I'm tired of Miami. They should have 3 or 4 losses.
Yes, they should.
They only have one.
They've escaped.
They have escaped, to say the least. SMU, who will play in the SEC title game, number 9 in the country, they lead Cal 21-3 late third quarter in Dallas. No problem for Alabama in the Iron Bowl. They're up 28-6 over Auburn midway through quarter number 3. And Arizona State needs a win to get into the Big 12 title game. No issue in the Territorial Cup that they play against Arizona.
I don't know.
Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
35-7, ASU on the road at
Boy, they've come on late.
Yeah, they have.
Yes, they have.
They really have. And,
is that a first-year coach?
Dillingham? Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
They fired Herm Edwards.
That's right.
I think it's year 1 for Dillingham.
Year 1 or 2, yeah. He's done a good job.
He's done a great job there. So there's some of your ranked games in progress right now. Of course, everybody knows Michigan beat Ohio State 13-10.
Yes, I know because I called that earlier.
Good call by you. Not only picking the cover, but picking the outright upset. We got a fight breaking out in Auburn, Alabama. We got all sorts of fights today. They just showed a Miami fan who flipped off the camera after Miami gave up a touchdown. So this is great. Passions and tensions
back in the rivalries, huh?
Are rising for rivalry week. It's the way it should be. Tennessee, they're in the CFP 36-23 over Vanderbilt in Nashville. South Carolina, nice top 15 win over Clemson. Oh, South Carolina, they're rooting for some chaos today.
They are.
They want Miami to lose. They want Notre Dame to lose. They want a lot of teams to lose to try to bolster their shot, even though they've got 3 losses. Folks are going to lose their mind if a 3-loss SEC team gets in.
Yes, they are.
They're trying. I guess there's still a chance that teams like Alabama and the fake USC can find their way into the field.
And my friend, what happened to the team that played in the Big 12 championship and lost last year? Have they just finally quit playing football at Oklahoma State? Has Mike Gundy's team just quit? I mean, that deal that happened to them yesterday, 52-0 to a Colorado team that's pretty talented, and now that we see that they got the quarterback, the wide receiver, the defensive back, but 52-0.
Yeah, that's bad, and I think they did quit on Mike Gundy. I mean, that was a team that Texas saw in the Big 12 title game last year.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last of Mike Gundy.
You might be right. I mean, it's been a rough year for him.
Yes, it has.
On and off the field. The comments before the season started about Ollie Gordon's DUI, and then just some of the things he said over the course of the year. He basically called his fan base poor and was like, you guys aren't supporting us despite what we've done. That's because you have problems at home. You can't pay your own bills. And that's
right.
Like, geez, dude, you're taking shots at your own fan base that has been paying your salary for the last 2 decades. And, they go from Big 12 title game appearance to 0-9 in the Big 12 Fuck, they brought like 20 starters back from last year's team.
No, this is supposed to be one of the top teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think they were picked to finish third.
Yeah, and to come back and then to have them get 52 on them without even a fight yesterday that was tough to see for Coach Gundy right there.
Yeah, total disaster for Oklahoma State. All right, I see our man Brian Davis in the waiting room. A2ZSports.com/Longhorns to catch all of BD's work. He's been joining us throughout the season on our Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame shows, and he's kind enough to join us again today. BD, happy belated Thanksgiving. How are you?
Hello, boys. How are we doing? Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Buck, I want to say our Lake Travis Cavaliers continue the march. They continue the march.
Oh, yeah. Brian, I was telling BK about a ways back, the first year I came to the University of Texas, and this game and it was played in Austin, Texas, and I had an opportunity to be a part of that with Ricky, and when he was young, and to come out to the practice field when we were practicing inside the stadium at DKR back in the day with the old AstroTurf, and the horns had been cut out of the AstroTurf. Somebody got into the stadium and cut the horns out of the middle of the field, and they had to replace all that. I said, is this what this mess is all about? It's not one of these friendly rivalries. And I thought, how the hell does somebody ever get in there? And how are they able to cut? And they cut them out perfectly. 2 horns are gone. You remember those? Remember that week?
I absolutely remember that. Yes, 100%. That was a big deal. Mostly I also remember the old decrepit AstroTurf. That was a brutal carpet to begin with. One of my most, indelible moments in my brain is the 95 game, James Brown and crew. They go over there, they win. And then a group of Texas fans tried to storm the field, and the cadets would pull out their swords on these people, and they're holding women at sword point, for lack of a better term. I don't know what you call that, but yeah, they pulled out their swords on these people on the field. What are you doing? And I think that's one of the things that led to, okay, no more swords.
Yeah, I actually saw a guy put a boot into a lady's face on that field that after that game was over with. I mean, she was on the ground and he took his foot and stuck it right on her face. It was crazy, but I was too busy being drugged by Ricky Williams holding his jersey, making it into the locker room and getting off of that field. That was a scary scene though, Brian. That was not one of those. It's okay, people are just pushing and shoving. That was punches. That was all kinds. As you said, swords. I saw a couple guys with their swords drawn.
Yep.
In that melee, and those dudes were scary when they had their swords drawn.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. We think of it's like I thought about the types of players that we've had in this rivalry over the lane. And I keep coming. I don't know why, but I keep coming back to Bucky Richardson. He's a guy that jumps out at me, right? I don't, there's a current group of Texas fans that say, oh, Sam Mellinger was this, that, and the other. What if I told you A&M had their own Sam Mellinger and Stephen McGee, right? Yeah. They had their own Sam Mellinger. It's just like the way that this thing has gone back and forth over the years. I feel bad for those who are young enough that don't really know what this is about prior to the 13-year gap.
Yeah, Brian, I saw your video on A2ZSports.com earlier this week talking about like the lack of hatred that's there, right? Some of the Texas players saying they've been texting A&M players leading up to this game, and it feels like, the lack of hatred, maybe not with the fan bases. I mean, you just log on to twitter.com and you see that the hatred is still absolutely there, but maybe it just doesn't quite feel like it's there yet with this younger generation of Longhorn and Aggie fan that hasn't seen this game in a long time.
Well, two things on that. Number one is that we're growing up in a time where all these athletes, they all know each other. They all play, they all grow up playing with each other. They visit schools together. So it's just like, they're all Snapchatting each other all the time at different schools. It's just a different time. Right. But that being said, if my mentions from going to cover Midnight Yell last night are any indication, I think we are going to make up time real quick. I think we're going to get the hate back real quick. If last night was any indication, because I went over there because I felt like, first Midnight Yell for the Texas game and 13 years, whatever. This is going to be cool. And it was. I mean, if you've been to Midnight Yell once, you've been to it every time. Quite honestly, it hasn't really changed, frankly. But still, though, they had the fireworks show in the stadium, all their A&M traditions and everything else. It was really cool, and a lot of national media guys were there too last night as well.
Yeah, I love the fact that for the Texas, for the young players that are on this football team now, they understand what Texas OU is all about. This is a different world. This is a different sound when you hit the field at Kyle Field, because it never stops. The sound never stops. It's that same pitch the entire 60 minutes of it. It just stays the same. There's never like a lull in it where your side is going this or that. The Aggies keep it loud there for the entire time, and it makes it so loud, Brian. I was telling BK, it's hard to think, and if you're a player and you're not paying attention, and with this offensive line, and if 5 seconds after the quarterback tells you, Quinn Ewers says the snap count is 2, and you get to the line of scrimmage, it's like, what was it that he just said? I mean, that's how loud it is. It's hard to think. Even as a fan, when you're inside of that stadium, it is just so loud. That's what I can remember more than anything about being at College Station. Maybe not so much as when they came here as it being loud, but when you're at College Station, that sound, it stays the same, and it never goes away. Your head is like pounding for hours after the game.
That too, and being there last night, Buck, I'll tell you this too. If you're a Texas fan and you haven't been there since 2011, you're going to be very impressed with what they've done with the stadium. I think Kyle Field, quite honestly, it looks fantastic now, right? The press box is now on the east side as opposed to the west side, and they have suites all the way around it. I mean, it looks, if you didn't know any better, you'd think this was an NFL stadium. There's no question. It is everything like an NFL stadium, and the way that the noise is contained. You guys remember when they built the zone, on the north end, and that was such a big, oh my God, have you seen the zone? Blah, 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 right? Well, now they have a south end zone that matches that, and it looks fantastic. It really does.
Yeah, Brian Davis from A2ZSports.com/Longhorns joining us here. BD, did you see? I saw you post a picture about some speakers on the field at Kyle Field. Oh, we got crowd noise, artificial crowd noise being pumped in tonight. I thought those were supposed to be good fans in Aggieland.
That's what I thought too, right? And yeah, I posted that as just sort of this will get people riled up, and that's why I added my message of here we go, right? Because some people made a big deal about they brought in speakers. Well, I actually looked into this. They brought in speakers to help amplify the band at halftime, because apparently there's different sections of the end zones. It's very hard to hear the band, but still, the idea of amplified sound devices on the track prior to the Texas game, that raises a flag. Look, one thing I totally learned about this week, and that made me feel warm in my heart, nothing is out of bounds this week, right? Every single thing is acceptable to write about and talk about this week. Every single thing, including speakers on the field.
Brian, as you look at this game, I think that we'll see, and I'm hoping to see that the same thing we saw last week in the Kentucky game, where Texas gets to a place where they're so comfortable with their run game, they run it 2, 3, maybe 4 times in a row, that they don't feel like they've got to drop Quinn Ewers back on a bum ankle and make things happen. People, they're going to give you some shots down the field, but I don't think it's necessary to throw a bunch of bombs. They're going to give you some. This secondary is just pretty average. If they don't get pressure on the quarterback, they won't be able to hold up to the speed of Texas and the wide receivers and the kind of group that Texas has. They are going to try to pressure the quarterback on a bad ankle, but I don't see it being one of those, you've got to let it loose. You got to make big plays that way. I think they still can make big plays in the run game. I feel real confident after last week, because that Kentucky defense, that was the real deal. They really were. They were good on that defensive line. Aggies are very similar. I don't know if they're any better than Kentucky's defensive line. That group from Kentucky was pretty stout, but for some odd reason, the Texas Longhorns and this offensive line decided, hey, this is our night. I think they'll continue that tonight.
I mean, there's no question. That 15-play drive at the end of the Kentucky game, that was them sending a message, no doubt about it. A&M, they've got some grown men up on that defensive front. They do. They absolutely do. I do think 1 through 85, Texas has the better roster, but there are some pockets that, kind of raise a flag for me. Quite honestly, I'm not sold that Jaden Blue is going to get out there and get it done tonight. When you're going around in week 12 having to hold on to the ball at the press conference because you have fumble problems, that's not good, right? That's not good. I also think that A&M's running game is a little better than people think, right? I do like Amari Daniels. Yes, he had the big drop against Auburn. I get it, but their running game is pretty decent, right? What's Marcel Reed going to do if he gets out of the pocket and runs around, right? Let's be honest. Texas has had a really good draw of the opposing quarterbacks they have faced this year. Pavia I would argue Pavia was the best with maybe Carson Beck as a 1A, but in terms of running around and making stuff happen, Pavia was definitely the best. Does that mean that A&M is going to automatically win? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that this is not just going to be an easy night at the office for the defense.
Brian, thoughts on Quinn Ewers? I know Bucky just mentioned he's got a hobbled ankle. He's out there warming up, stretching with the team right now, so it seems like he is going to get the start for the Longhorns tonight. But look, we saw in the Georgia game earlier this year, Steve Sarkisian pulled Quinn Ewers when things weren't going well. Quinn didn't look great in the second half against Kentucky. The run game was good enough. Texas found a way to win that football game, but it's the leash question, right? I know you're tired of being asked this. I'm sure every Texas fan is tired of talking about it. But what type of leash do you think a banged-up Quinn Ewers has in this game tonight? And do you think Arch Manning is a realistic option for Texas at some point?
I do. I do expect to see Arch because I do think Quinn is going to be more limited than anybody really knows. I mean, look, the instant that Sark said that Quinn was the victim of a hip drop tackle, that's bad news, man. That's got high ankle sprain written all over it, and that's just something that you don't recover from in just a few days. Now, that said, Quinn Ewers is the guy who grew up wanting to be a Longhorn. I mean, short of that thing being cut off by the trainers, he's going to be out there on the field. But I don't think this is going to be like Georgia. I think Sark won't be tentative to switch if he feels like he needs a little juice, because he knows that QB1 is limited a little bit. I think Sark tonight, man, I think we're going to see an all business type of coaching approach that we maybe haven't seen yet. This is a guy who knows how bad Elko needs to win this. I think we get angry Alamo Sark here, and he wants to bury these guys. That's what I think.
Now, do you see some plays just designed for Arch to get into the game, where there's plays where he actually comes in and gives Quinn Ewers a blow in a series with? I mean, just call. This is what we're going to. This is a part of our plan. Our plan was not to wait till Quinn Ewers gets hurt, but to bring Arch in for a series here or there. I mean, would you be surprised if that were to happen and not see him stay, but go in there for a series, move the ball a little bit, and then come out of the game so that he's at least a little bit loose for if he had to go in there?
Oh, I absolutely would do that. Just if nothing else, you want to make them think. I thought one of the most interesting answers that Sark gave all season long was when he talked about formulating his script. He said, you want to call plays that get them burning chalk on their side of the field, right? And could you just imagine if it's a tight game, in the second quarter, say, and then it's just all of a sudden 16 runs out there. Can you just imagine the buzz and like, oh my God, like, their defense. I think you absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Right. And it gets him ready for a potential play in the second half. I think Quinn plays unless he's just so immobile that it renders him just obsolete out there. But I do expect to see Arch Manning tonight.
BD, last one from me. How about a prediction, right? Texas and Texas A&M. The line's been going down all week long. The Longhorns just 4.5-point favorites. I'm sure the Quinn Ewers ankle has a little something to do with that. But who wins this game tonight, and what's the final score?
Well, as soon as I saw the line, give me A&M and the points. I don't care what that is, but I was going to take A&M and the points all day long on this. But then when I see what happened at the Georgia Tech game, you look up at the other scores; they're a little tighter today. I still think Texas 31, A&M 28, Burt Auburn at the gun, Justin Tucker style with a dagger right through their hearts. I've told several people this, and I'm not backing off of this. I think we get to an NFL-style finish where in the last, let's call it 2-3 minutes, both teams get a possession to try to win it. And I think Texas does with a Burt Auburn field goal.
I love it. Brian, great stuff as always, my friend. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Wait, did you survive? Because you said your wife went to Kentucky, right? Y'all survived? Everything's good after last week?
Listen, we did. We survived it. You can eat as much as you want. It'll come out eventually, but you could put some more in. That's the best part.
Some more back in there.
BD, you're the man.
I love it.
Thanks as always for the time. Hopefully we get to talk to you before an SEC championship game next week, my friend.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely. There he goes. Brian Davis, A2Zsports.com/Longhorns. Go check him out. Got to give Brian the chance to promote his stuff, so I'll promote his stuff. It's all free. No paywall. You get the greatness of Brian Davis, who's been covering Texas for a long, long time. You don't have to worry about a paywall. You don't have to worry about news being 5 to 7 days older like you did at his old place.
Back in the day.
It's all there for you. A2Zsports.com/Longhorns. It's all there. Thanks to Brian Davis for his time. He's going with 31-28 good guys and a Burt Auburn game-winning field goal at the buzzer, Buck.
Yes.
I know we'll give our game score predictions right before we wrap up at the top of the hour, but is that close to where you're at right now?
Yeah, I am. I'm in that low 30s to high 20s.
Okay.
For the Longhorns and a 3.3 to 6-point win.
Okay. Yeah, the Vegas total right now, once again, Texas is a 4.5-point favorite, but your over-under is at 50.5 right now. So kind of around Brian's number and kind of around where you're at as well. So should be a fun one tonight. I think I'm a little lower with my score. Once again, I'll save the pick for the end of the show, but I'm a little bit lower for that one. And, how about that potential artificial crowd noise? They're going to be using speakers.
The place is going to be loud enough, cheaters.
Come on,
what do you need to do that for?
I thought we played Michigan early in the season. Now we're playing some more cheaters at the end of the season.
Pumping in crowd noise? Oh, come on, Aggies, you're better than that. Well, no, then again, no, you're not.
Maybe not.
You're really not better than that. You are what you are, and you're probably going to find a way to cheat.
We've got to dive into the Quinn Arch conversation again, but a quick shout out to our buddy Brandon Mars from Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. He's tuned in, one of our great sponsors on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Hey, if you've got a job you need to get done, weather's finally cooling down a little bit. It's nice to be outside.
I'm out there in the garden getting it done.
If you got some stuff you put off in the hot summer, get it done at Top Gun. They offer an extensive selection of rental equipment for everything from small home projects to large construction jobs. They've got all of the biggest brands as well: Steel, Hustler, Toro, Walker, DeWalt, and more. Our buddy Brandon Mars and his team will get you hooked up with whatever you need. It's rentals, it's sales, it's all the supplies that you absolutely have to have. They are Austin's #1 source for all of that stuff, and they've been that way since 1996. 2 Austin area locations, one in Anderson Square up north, the other in Buda down south. It is topgun.net. Top Gun will shoot you straight. So, Buck, interesting, right? Quinn Ewers, seen some videos over the last 20 minutes. He's on the field. He's stretching. He's warming up with the team. I don't think there's any doubt who the starting quarterback is going to be for the Longhorns tonight. But the question is, do we see Quinn Ewers for every single snap in this game? Is it a leash conversation? Is it hey, Quinn gets this series and then Arch gets this series? Maybe an impossible thing to predict, but what do you predict happens?
You know, I thought about it before I asked Brandon that question. It hadn't been in my mind the whole week until just now, BK. Why wouldn't you not bring him in for a series? Because what if he has to come in for a series? Why wouldn't you just let them understand that this dude is coming in here for the series? And I don't mean if he has a successful series where he takes them down, he scores, then you bring him right back for a second series. No, you bring Quinn back in. But to make them really think about what's the possibilities of this kid coming in certain down and distance situations where he can escape, because we've seen him take off and run with the football. If he comes in, they've got to have that in their mind that, dude, we better be sure that we force him into the pocket and not let him break contain because he can run with the ball himself.
Yeah.
So I just set plays for him or set things that he may be able to do, whether it's just flat out quarterback run.
It's a different offense with Arch Manning.
It is.
Because he's a much better runner.
Right.
Even when Quinn's healthy, Arch is the better runner.
Certainly is.
And Arch is the better deep ball thrower. Like, there are a lot of things that Quinn is better at than Arch. And I'm not trying to stir the pot and create
Oh, no, it's just an experience thing.
Yeah. There were a lot of Texas fans for a myriad of reasons who were upset that we didn't see Arch in the Kentucky game, whether it was, hey, Quinn's playing so bad we might lose, or it's, hey, just in case Quinn's seriously hurt, let's give Arch Manning some run just so he gets in an SEC game this late in the season. But Yeah, I mean, Arch Manning, look, he's played a lot this year. He's played in 6 games, obviously started a couple.
Right.
When Arch was hurt earlier in the year, the numbers are solid, 68% completion percentage.
You're right, B. This is not I'm rusty. This is you're trying to get to a championship game.
Yeah.
You're going to play your most experienced person, whether it's the quarterback, the center, the wide receivers. That's who you go with. But in the likelihood that he gets in, and I think after a while that ankle's going to get sore. It's not going to stay tightly taped up the entire football game. There's going to come a time where he's going to put a little pressure and go, damn, that hurts a little bit.
They're going to shoot him up with something, and adrenaline's going to help out early.
Yes,
but
early.
As the game progresses and it gets a little cooler outside, and oh, by the way, we're talking about Texas taking some shots on Marcel Reed when they get the opportunity.
Oh, they're going to take their shots and twist. When they get him down and they grab him by the legs, they have the opportunity. That extra twist is going to come in there. So do you have some set plays for your other quarterback or a series?
Yep.
I'm just thinking, would Sark do that? I mean, I don't know. Do you screw up the rhythm, or you're just putting an insurance policy out to give him a series? I mean, and especially if the game is, if it's one of those 2 or 3 series, both teams move the ball okay, but they end up punting. Do you then bring him in and say, okay, this is your series, just go in here, let's move the ball down the field? And if he does move the ball down the field, what the people then are going to say, leave him in. No, just get right back to what your initial thoughts were that you were going to do. If Quinn Ewers isn't hurt, he's going to get the majority of snaps tonight, period.
Just win the game.
Just win the game. And you know what? If the other kid comes in and you decide he stays in, just win the game.
Like I don't,
nobody's going to be mad at you.
No, I mean, legacies are made in this
You're
game.
absolutely right.
And if Arch Manning starts his Texas legacy with a win against A&M in the first matchup of the Lone Star Showdown in 13 years, then that you talk about a springboard to next season in the future of Texas.
It helps put you in a championship, an SEC championship in year one. No, you do what you can to win the football game. And we're all going to see it. I mean, it's not going to be just the head coach this season. You're going to be watching the game tonight. You're going to know if the guy is 100%, 70%, if he's 50%, if he tries to escape and he tweaks that again, BK, it's going to bother him.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a series by series thing.
But is there a series that he just decides go in, or do you wait?
I think that only happens if
he gets hurt,
or if Texas is in trouble, like Georgia. Like I don't think it's going to be like. It's 3-0 Aggies. Texas has gone 3 and out on 3 drives. Quinn's ankle's messed up. Let's make a move.
Let's just or just make a move for this series.
Right. I don't think it's going to be like that. Yeah, 2 drives Quinn, 1 drive Arch, anything like that. I could be way off on that. Like nobody really knows how healthy Quinn.
Well, the Aggies will hate the fact that if that kid comes onto the field, if things are where there's no score and things aren't going well for both teams, where it's not like it's not going well, but there's nothing happening. There's a little bit of a stalemate. That kid comes in the game, they're not going to like that.
Man, I don't know. You wouldn't like to see a redshirt freshman with 2 starts?
Oh, no, I would love to. I mean, I'd love to see him come into the game. I said, but the defense will not like that.
I'm talking, because of his running ability?
Oh, his ability to get out of the pocket and go.
I mean, I'm just like, man, Quinn Ewers has won 10 straight road games dating back to 2022. And some of his best performances of his college career have been on the road.
And the toughest of teams.
And he's a 3-year starter, a 4-year collegiate player. Like, if I can get that guy out of the game, I want that guy. I don't care the last name of the guy.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Him.
I mean, they would love to have him be the starter, the other guy be the starter for this game for sure.
So I think A&M would like to see some Arch Manning. Hey, redshirt freshman, you lost your student ID. Let's see if you lose your mind tonight in Aggieland. It's a tough atmosphere. It could be redshirt freshman versus redshirt freshman.
Well, by the way, they've got enough on their plates with their guy being the starting quarterback because he's never been in this game either.
No, he hasn't. And that's the thing. That's why I want Quinn to be healthy, and I want him to get as many snaps as possible because no one's been in this game, but that's a guy who's been in hostile environments and once again has played some of his best ball when Texas has been away from home.
Yeah, this is a game for me, BK. If you play this like you had to play the Michigan game, if they're giving you the dink and dunks and letting you have it and you can go up and down the field that way, do it. Win the game. Do it. If they're giving you first downs and they're saying, okay, you can have this 5 yards, your tight end can get it for 5 yards, that's fine. If they're giving you this and they don't want you to get behind them, as Sark says, tell them to move up and then I'll throw it behind them. If they move back, okay, and you can throw in front of them, you can do that all day long. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to say at the end of the night, that Quinn Ewers didn't take any shots. I'm not going to have anything to do except for a nice win.
Yeah.
See you in the championship game next week.
Before we get to your 3 keys to victory, a quick shout out once again to Shoal Creek Saloon. If you're looking for a place to watch this game tonight,
TVs.
They got plenty of TVs. They'll have the sound on for the game as well. Great food, great drinks, the best game day vibes you can find here in Austin, Texas. If you're not making the trip to College Station at this point, you're too late. Come see us at Shoal Creek Saloon. Also, some love to Waterloo Printing and Graphics, this badass 8x8 step and repeat banner behind us.
There you go.
Put together by Waterloo Printing and Graphics. If you've got a business that needs stuff, shirts, hats, signs like this, reach out to our buddy Adam, 512-300-9641, and he will hook you and your business up. All right, Buck, got about 20 minutes left in our pregame show. It's time now for your 3 keys to victory, brought to you by Hat Creek Burger Company.
I'll just say this. The number one for me is to still continue to run with power. I thought they did that last week. I think there's got to be a continuance of what we saw in the fourth quarter. And it really wasn't just the fourth quarter of last week that they had one nice drive to end it, but they ran the ball pretty well throughout the game against Kentucky. I expected them to continue to do that. I don't think there's a certain time where he's just going to say, let's saddle it up to win the game. It'd be nice, but I'm talking about saddling up early. You know, those first 15 plays, they don't have to be 12 passes.
No, they don't.
And 3 runs. They can be the other way around. I think you want to continue to work on that. I think the offensive line showed what they actually can do if they feel the confidence in the run game. And I think they loved what they did last week. So I would say continue to run. Number 2, got to protect the quarterback. You got to protect Quinn Ewers. They're coming from a guy with a bad ankle. That's just the way it is.
Sure.
And if they can step on the ankle, if they can have some twist stunts where they hit him and hit him late, do everything you can. That's everybody's job. Once again, it's a wide receiver's job. If they blitz, you got to be ready for the ball and hot reads. The running backs have to step up and protect from the linebackers. The running back has help on the twist stunts too. It's not always the linebackers. It's those guys that are sliding off offensive linemen. If you're in, stay in to protect your quarterback. That means you got to be there. Not the chip, that chip stuff. You need to be squared up to a guy that comes in free. That's number 2 for me. And I think you got to force Marcel Reed into staying in the pocket and throwing from inside of the pocket. Don't let him break containment. This team has done a really good job with keeping quarterbacks and running backs and not letting them get on the perimeter. This kid can run inside also, but I prefer him to step up and have to do things, BK, than just beat you on the outside. Because once he's got you on the outside, there's no telling how far this kid can get down the field.
He's fast.
Yeah, he's fast, and your receivers are your defensive backs are going to have their back turned to him as they're looking out for the receivers because he will run to throw it too. If you come flying up, he's going to dump that ball over the top of your head. But I think you got to keep him in the pocket tonight. I know he escapes inside too. It's not just a guy breaking containment because he's fast. He can slide in the middle, but I expect to see Anthony Hill right there waiting for him. If he slides to the middle, I expect for Anthony Hill to be the one stepping right in his face when he does. Mm-hmm. But those are the 3 keys for me. I'm not going to say anything about penalties. You're not going to win the penalty battle. You're not going to win that at College Station. You're going to get stiffed. They're going to get the calls, but make it so the officials aren't part of the reason why you don't win the football game by having unforced errors.
Don't give up on the run.
Don't give up.
Protect the quarterback.
Yes.
Contain their quarterback.
Absolutely.
I like that. Bucky's 3 keys to victory brought to you by Hat Creek Burger Company. Started as a food truck down on West 6th Street.
Even before you were around.
Even before I was alive. Not that young, but before I was around Austin.
Yes.
And now more than 25 Hat Creek Burger Company locations all across the great state of Texas. Despite their rapid growth, the mission remains the same. Hat Creek will always be a place for good food, good folks, and good fun. It is that simple. Check out their world-famous Hat Creek burgers, fries, salads, nuggets, and shakes.
Got some nuggies now.
They got the nuggies now, the saucy nugs
as
well. They're not messing around. Hat Creek Burger Company, thanks to them for bringing you Bucky's 3 keys to victory.
So, no, I didn't put a number on the penalties tonight. You notice I wanted to.
What would you like to see? Less than 5?
6.
6 or less?
6 or less. I'm not going to give it the 5 deal. 6 or less would be fantastic, but I smell it being in the 7s since it's there. They're going to get the calls. Their Elko's already got the envelope out for the officials. Put his arm around him, slide the envelope in the side pocket. Sark can't do that on the road. See, it's hard to do that on the road.
We can't bring him like a bowl of gumbo.
No gumbo.
From Shoal Creek Saloon.
No.
Like, hey, refs, here you go. Give us a couple of calls. Here's this great food.
He got that last week. He was at home. He got the deal. He worked it pretty good.
We didn't need it against Kentucky.
Yeah,
but that for this game.
Oh, for this game, you can't. There's nothing you can do to the officials at College Station.
They're not a po' boy.
Oh no, they're not. They're not buying into anything. They're not doing no gift certificates, no gift cards because of Black Friday. There's nothing you can't bribe them. Aggies got them.
If Sark shows up with like an 80-inch TV, he's like, "Here you go,
For
refs."
Tom McKay, AV consultation. I got something out in the car for you.
Yeah, there it is.
Hey, meet me out in the park. Here's where I'm parked.
Yep.
Meet me out there.
I got one for all of you.
It won't work. It won't work. Nothing's going to work.
TVs?
They're going to get the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
in College Station. It's been a long time since the Aggies got a chance to play Texas. And believe me, the officials are not going to be on the side of the Longhorns. So make sure that they're not involved somehow.
That'd be nice. Try to find a way to do that.
If Sark didn't get it to the envelope to them early in the week, it's too late now.
Well, look, there are some things you can control and some things you can't control, right? Like if they're calling questionable holdings and they're not calling questionable holdings on them, then that's out of your control.
Right.
But the false starts, the illegal procedures.
You can't let that happen tonight.
Texas has had too many of those this season.
Got to fight for every inch of the field tonight.
Yeah, they've cleaned it up a lot over the month of November.
Yes, they have.
Great to see. But like those problems can't rear their ugly heads again today.
As I said, it's hard, BK, because it's going to be hard for the guys to think. You got an assignment. You got to know the snap count. You want to get off quick. You got these defensive linemen that can absolutely fly. They got speed and they've got strength. But you as an offensive lineman, we can't have number, 65, 56?
56.
We can't have 56 with 3 of those kind of penalties in this game. That 15 yards will cost you.
Yep.
That total of 15 is going to cost you in a game like this. Can't have these 1st and 15s against the Aggies.
I'm with you. I am with you. All right. Another key for me, get off to a good start. And Texas has done a pretty good job of that this season. They are outscoring their opponents 101-17 in the first quarter this season. They had an opening drive touchdown against Kentucky last week. We talk about taking the crowd out of the game a little bit. There's nothing Texas can do to eliminate the Aggie crowd tonight. But you send that first message, you get the ball first, you march down the field and put up 7 points. That's going to help a lot. The Texas defense, top 5 in the country in first quarter points allowed. And you prevent A&M from getting all the momentum early in the game.
Take a chance. This is one of those take a chance on an out route or something for the cornerbacks. Go ahead, take it early, not late.
Yep.
But early. If you don't want to give this kid momentum, when he throws that first 8-yard out, go ahead and slide right underneath it. You got to take a chance in this game.
How about this? I hope I'm not giving the announcers jinx here for Texas with this statistic, but doing some search for this game, I found this one, and I find this very interesting. Texas is unbeaten in its last 24 games when leading at halftime. So I don't want to sit here and say the game's over if Texas has a halftime lead. 24 in a row, Buck. Texas up at halftime.
I like that.
They have found a way to win. That's a crazy stat right there. And Texas has been very good in the first half as of late. Just 7 total points allowed in the last 3 games in the first half against Florida, Arkansas, and Kentucky.
By the way, I win the toss. I want the ball.
This is one of those games.
Yes.
Okay. They did that. They did not do that last week. Kentucky won the toss. They deferred. So Texas got the ball first.
Right.
Marched down the field and scored a touchdown.
I want the ball.
Okay, you'll get the call because you're the road team tonight. You want the ball and you're going to score, Matt Hasselbeck?
Yes. I want to get the ball and I want to score.
Okay. I like that thought, right? Set the tone early on here. And
because they're going to give, and once again, they're going to be pretty much in a backpedal in that secondary as far back as they can get, thinking that, okay, they want to loosen us up. They want to throw the ball deep down the field. And they're giving you, like the Michigan game, take, dink, and dunk it all the way down. Just don't kick a field. Don't have Bert Auburn come out there and have to kick a field goal.
Well, if he makes them, it's fine. I think field goals are wins if he makes them. But
in this particular game, yes. In a rivalry game, you'll take the 3, coach.
Yeah.
Take the 3s if they're there for you.
No binders tonight, please.
Well, you don't have to worry because your defense plays that well. So a team that plays the defense the way Texas does, 3s are good. Those are points that you need.
Les says offensive line plays well and no turnovers if we win. Yeah, and that's obviously a key. And for this Texas defense taking the ball away, they've been great at that, Buck. You called for 2 Andrew Makuba interceptions tonight. If the Longhorns have 2 takeaways, that'll be 7 games in a row with at least 2 turnovers forced by this Texas defense. They've got at least 1 takeaway in their last 19 games, dating obviously back to the 2023 season. You need at least 1. If you can get a crooked number, then that's a big-time advantage in this game.
Yeah, and Jaden Blue is also going to be big in this game. Sark is going to find a way to scheme him free on some of this misdirection stuff where he slides out of the backfield, BK down the sideline. He's the guy. And if you had to step out of bounds instead of cutting back, and somebody hits you, just go ahead and step out of bounds. If you get a big play, you don't have to take a hit. You don't have to prove that you're a tough guy. You'll still have the ball in your arms as you go out of bounds for about 30, 40 yards. I'll take that. But he can't put it on the ground tonight.
Well, how confident are you in Jaden Blue tonight?
I am. I feel pretty good. It's hard to feel pretty bad about it.
I feel pretty bad about it.
I'll
tell you right now. I feel like I know how good he is, but the fumble problem, it wasn't a 1 week thing. That's been an issue his whole career.
Yes, it has. He's now into my book as a fumbler. So you just kind of get him the ball as soon as you can early and see how he is. Because as I said, if there's a problem early, he doesn't get to be the guy with the ball late. You can't afford to do it when you're trying to win a championship. And I think Trey Wiseman, I think he's going to be fantastic again tonight.
Some insider reports saying that Quintravion Wisner was wearing a non-contact jersey for a couple of days in practice, not because he's hurt, because they don't want him to get hurt. Like, he's the guy that they clearly trust the most right now in that running back room. And it's like, dude, we cannot lose our number one tailback going into the biggest game of the season.
Well, not the way he plays, because he plays reckless. He's thrown his body all over the place.
Yeah.
And for him, he's done such a good job of keeping the ball tucked in pretty tight to his chest, and because he runs real reckless. You know what I'm saying? He will dive over piles, but for the other guy, he's just such a game breaker. He can do a lot of damage to this Texas A&M team, and especially they're trying to cover him with linebackers.
Yep.
But he can't put it on the ground. Once again, you're the one who gives the ball to the official. Don't put it on the ground. Don't lay it on the ground. Don't let them, when they blow the whistle, you still have it under you. You hand it to the official. That made me feel good to see him just continue to hand it to him instead of the ball, somebody going, oh, no, that's loose.
I know you care way more about the fumbles lost stat than the fumble stat. I don't care if Jaden Blue recovers it. If he puts it on the turf tonight, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's a part of it. My deal was, dude, if you fumble that ball and you get it back, we're not going to talk that much about it because you went in there and grabbed somebody by the gonads in order to get it back. That's showing me something.
Whatever it takes.
Break a finger, bite a finger.
Bite the gonads?
Bite the gonad. Do everything you can to get it back. That's fine. We won't have a talk about it. But when the minute you lose it to the other guy, now that's a problem.
Like the Aggie cheerleaders are doing some gonad biting. I don't want to get to that level. I don't want to do any of the weird stuff.
Dude, whatever I can grab at the bottom of the pile to get the ball back.
Those fans need help learning how to cheer. They can't do it on their own, so they have to do a practice the day before their
midnight practice. Can't they go to sleep?
They're doing all these weird things. A bunch of guys dressed as milkmen.
With their arms around each other, swaying back and forth.
Yep. And
is this grease? I mean, what is this? I mean, come on.
That's what's going on at Kyle Field. Huh?
Wow.
Trying out for Grease. They're doing an on-campus musical.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man. It's so great to have this game back.
It is.
8 minutes left in our pregame show. Once again,
they've got to show us something tonight. The SEC has got to show us the bands tonight, even on TV. We got to be able to see that.
The atmosphere is going to be absolutely insane.
Wow.
And you get the number one crew on ABC. It'll be Fowler and Herbie, who are obviously there for college games.
Oh, it is. I don't have to worry about Jesse Palmer tonight.
No, I think
hating on Texas.
I think Joe Tessitore was trying to blow Uga last night with the way that he was calling that Georgia
my
Tech
goodness.
game.
It was unbelievable.
I felt bad for any Georgia Tech fan who was looking for a neutral broadcast. They did not get one at all.
No, they did.
But no Tess and no rooms to go guy on the call
No
tonight.
rooms to go, huh? Good.
We get Fowler and Herb Street. We get the number one crew on ABC, and I think they're going to do a good job talking about the traditions that exist, talking about the history of this rivalry that Texas, of course, has dominated over the years, and just setting the table. I mean, some of it you don't even have to do the announcing. You show the crowd, you pan to the audience, and just that will tell the whole story.
And a somber weekend for a lot of Texas A&M people because there were 12 students that lost their lives. What was it, like 25 years ago?
Yep.
25 years ago that brought all Texans kind of together between the two schools. And I'll never forget that weekend. And Mac Brown, when he was here, was fabulous for Texas A&M fans and for all the fans of the state of Texas, for both universities, how they got together. But the rivalry's back. The hatred will be back, and it won't take long, brother. It won't take long because this one means something. This is not just the end of the season.
It never left for me.
Oh.
The hatred's always been there for me. And, for those who maybe lost some hatred towards Texas A&M or those who are too young to understand what this rivalry is all about, I don't think it'll take you more than like 3 minutes.
Oh, no, you'll be into it really quickly.
To get that disdain back for little brother at Texas A&M. I'm trying to screen share here.
I love the winner take all tonight.
So our audience can see, but it's not working right now. I'll just show you a picture from the campus of Texas A&M that was tweeted out. There is a fan holding a dog, riding a Longhorn around campus right now in College
Just
Station.
his normal way of getting to work.
I think so. Yeah, I guess this guy's rooting for the Aggies. I don't see an Aggie shirt.
I don't see that color. You don't see the colors on them, do you?
I don't see the
because
colors.
they wear their
on.
colors all the time.
Riding a Longhorn. Did he take that thing up I-35?
Could have been.
I don't know how that's working, but that's some of the crazy. You don't get that in any other rivalry.
No. You know, we like to wear our colors, but they live and sleep in their colors. Yes, they do.
Next to their sister.
That's right next to their sister, yes.
This is what they do in Aggie land. But it's so great. Texas leads the all-time series 76-37-5. That is the Longhorns record. And, of course, if Texas can find that 77th win, they'll be playing in Atlanta next week. The most recent matchup, the Justin Tucker walk-off, 27-25. Texas has won 9 of the last 12 against A&M. They are 12-5 in the last 17 games against A&M. Here's an interesting stat that really has no bearing on tonight's game, but the Horns have won 5 of the last 6 at Kyle Field.
Oh, by the way, look for our guy on punt return to go to the house tonight.
Putting in a Silas Bolden house
Silas
call?
Bolden, yes.
Okay.
Been waiting. This is it right here. This was talking about putting himself as a legend. This is it tonight.
Here's my call for Silas Bolden in the return game. He is going to catch a punt in the end zone. That guy hates touchbacks so much. We've seen him field him at the 1 or the 2. He's going to walk into the end zone and try to field one and return one.
That's good. That's fine.
It's probably not fine.
Because he's not taking any knees. He's not doing anything. He catches everything. He's going to get blown up, but that's okay.
Yeah.
As long as he hangs on to the ball or it's a 15-yard penalty, for punt, catch, interference.
Yep.
Because he's going to catch the ball. He's going to catch it on a dead run. Somebody's going to hit him, and his head is going to be in his helmet on the ground. So be aware of that. But he's also going to be able to shake one guy, and he's going to be gone. He'll be out the gate tonight.
I like that house call. Yep, Silas Bolden's been close.
Yes, he has.
Done a great job in the return game. His average is pretty high, just hasn't quite taken one all the way yet. If you can get a special teams touchdown in a game like this.
I need your guy to make all his field goals tonight.
Man, yeah. Don't call him my guy. He's not my guy anymore. Walk-on Bert was my guy. Scholarship Bert is not
your
guy.
guy?
I don't know who that guy is.
Wow.
Scholarship Bert is a completely
different
different
You have given
person.
up on that dude.
I don't have much faith in him anymore, man. I hope he proves me wrong. I've been saying it all year. He's not a bad kicker. I don't know if Texas needs one in the fourth quarter. Like last year, no question. Big spot. Can Auburn make you one? Of course. I made 20 in a row. This year, I don't know. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat.
50 and behind that, BK, punt it. I just let my defense get back in the game. Not trying to give them field position at the 45. I'm punting the ball and letting my defense play. I'm not letting him go up there swinging at 52-yard attempts
Can we get
tonight.
Michigan's kicker for this game?
Wow.
I think that was money today for the Wolverines. All right, a couple minutes left in our pregame show at Shoal Creek Saloon. We've got a giveaway here for the people.
Very nice.
A cowboy hat from our great friends at Cavender's, as I lose the ability to talk on a show that involves talking. Buck doing the drawing right now.
There's no way I can see that. What do we got over there?
Oh, boy. This always happens. We've got Nat, the winner. No last name. Is there a Nat in attendance? If not, we will text Nat. She left her number.
There it is. There's Nat right there.
Are you Nat? This is Nat?
There it is.
Nat.
Mama Nat.
Mama Nat.
Is this legal?
It's legal.
Why did I not assume it was the Nat sitting right in front of us? I'm looking around across the place who is it? Did they leave? Very nice. Congrats to Nat.
Very nice.
For a cowboy hat from our friends at Cavender's, thanks to their great partnership all season long. Gents, 2 minutes left in the show. Time for our game score predictions presented by Paul's Motorworks. We'll tell you more about them here in a second. Our man intern Brock is here. You always get the right of way, Brock. What's the score tonight and who wins?
Yeah, I'm as confident as I can be for a rivalry game. We ran the ball really well last week. A&M is in the bottom quarter of the FBS defending the pass. So I'm going to go 34-13.
34-13.
I'm confident. If you look at Ewers' career,
nice.
man, he shows up for these big games.
So a Texas win and an easy Texas cover.
Oh, yeah.
To boot. I love the confidence. All right, a 3-touchdown win for the Horns. For Brock, Buck, what say you?
I'm going 28-24 Horns.
28-24. So the Aggies cover because it's at 4.5.
Yes.
But Texas wins.
Yes.
Okay. in the same boat as you. I changed my pick. I had 23-21 Texas. But I just think it'd be so fitting if the score of this game tonight is the same as the score of the 2011 game.
Nice.
I'm going to go 27-25 Texas, the exact same score.
Very nice.
As the last two times last game these two teams played against one another. Texas wins, A&M covers, but the Longhorns find their way to Atlanta to get a rematch against the hated Georgia Bulldogs.
Nice.
Next week. Hopefully not 8 overtimes for that one. I won't be able to
An
handle
exhausted group from Georgia. They're going to be tired all week long. Won't be able to practice until Wednesday of this week.
Yeah, they did get the extra day because they played last night.
Kept me up, too.
Lord help us if this game goes to 1 overtime tonight, let alone multiple. Shout out to Paul's Motorworks, by the way. They are the best in the business. Been providing complete foreign and domestic automotive repair here in Austin since 2000. They specialize in Mercedes, in Porsche, in Audi, a lot of the luxury brands, but if you just
they can fix anything.
They can fix anything. If you just need your oil changed and you want to go to a place that you can rely on that won't upcharge you, go to Paul's Motorworks right there, 620 and 2222. Big Texas fans, big TSU supporters, they will take care of you and your car. Your search for a trusty mechanic is over. PMWAustin.com. Go see Paul's Motorworks at 620 and 2222. Gents, a lot of fun today.
Yeah, it is. This is our last gig here, and thank you to Brian and the whole Werks here at Shoal Creek Saloon. They've done a fantastic job, and it's kind of nice to be here and not at 7 a.m. in the morning, too.
Right?
Huh? How about that?
I'm with you. Yeah,
wow.
Gorgeous day here in Austin. Should be a gorgeous night in Austin and in College Station as well. Perfect setting for the return of this perfect rivalry.
And happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. And still be careful, and for our fans coming back tonight from College Station, do be careful out there.
One last Aggie joke. Did you hear about the Aggie whose wife gave birth to triplets?
No.
When he heard the news, he grabbed his double barrel and took off to find the other two guys. There you go.
Nice.
The Aggie jokes will never get tired because most of them aren't even jokes.
That's life.
Most of them are true. All right. Special thanks to Covert Bee Cave and 34 Wine and Spirits, our great title sponsors. And as the Buck mentioned, much love to Shoal Creek Saloon for having us out all season long. Special thanks to Wags for manning the app back home. For intern Brock, for Bucky Godbolt, I am BK Brad Kellner. Y'all enjoy the rest of the weekend. More importantly, enjoy the game. Don't forget post-game with Zay and Rodney as soon as the clock hits 000 tonight. They'll be breaking it down, taking your thoughts and comments from what we hope is a Texas win and a ticket punched to the SEC championship game. Y'all have a great night. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the game. And hook 'em.
Hook 'em.